don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on, we digging deep, come on. Yeah. Born in a country that was meant to be free. Gifted in yapping to prove conspiracy. Educated in the cornfield but dreaming of the beach. Inspired by a humble host, let that man preach. Republican, nah, Democrat, ew. Reporting what's true through a new view to you. I don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on. Into the weeds, come on. I don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on. We digging deep, come on. Yeah. Tiger shark circle, but I'm staying the course. Deep research, digging, overturn every source. 10, for a squirrel, organize the chaos. Gather each acorn, expose corporate payoffs. What matters the most? Respecting what is true. Always be saying like moss should grow on you. Welcome to I don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on, triceratops. Hold on. I don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on. We digging deep, come on.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming and happy Saturday. Well, for some of you, it may not be Saturday, but it's Saturday for me. So we're going to pretend like it's Saturday for everyone. So if you could, this is cringe, but please hit the like button. And if you would like to come back, if you hit subscribe, that would be great. But hitting the like button is really helpful for the algorithm. And I have no idea what I'm doing. So that's what I hear is helpful. Today we are going to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to try to keep today in the need to know, and then I will expand later on the nice to know, because I don't think this necessarily needs to be a 4-hour live stream about research. So thank you for coming. If you're here, again, please hit the like button. If it's not over here and it's over here, you can ignore that. But I hope that you're ready. You brought your thinking hats today, because we are going to talk about Zachariah Qureshi. And I do believe I'm saying that right. I will say I looked up videos on how to pronounce his dad's name a bunch correctly and how to pronounce his last name. I'm probably going to mispronounce it. So full disclaimer here at the beginning, I was educated in the middle of 4 cornfields, and I forget how to pronounce words when I get nervous and when I'm on screen. Sometimes I forget how to read and say normal things, and I start reading backwards. So I do have an outline of the things that I need to touch base on today, but I'm not perfect, but I try. Oh, hey, Baron. I see Baron's in the chat. Okay, so again, if you're just getting in here and you could hit the like button, that would be wonderful, or subscribe if you haven't already. But we are going to focus on the second public suspect today, or the second one apprehended. Well, at least the public apprehensions that we're aware of. I do feel like it is possible that there were some arrests or people that were brought in for questioning as suspect that maybe were not released to the public. And that could be because the director of the FBI likes to tweet a lot. And I think he probably didn't want to make another mistake, because those first few were a little bit wild. So the first arrest that most of us are aware of is George Zen. And I'm going to put this up on the screen because I know everyone's not aware of who all of these people are. Okay. So over here on the left, we have George Zen, and he is the first person that is arrested on September 10th, 2025. And he is the one that he's a confusing man. If you look into him, he is the one that says, I did it right afterwards. He ends up going to the hospital. There's reporting saying at that time that he was paid to say I did it to cause a distraction. That's reported. And then he actually ended up getting charges for a few other things that were not related to the crime on September 10th, 2025. So that is George Zen under number 1. The person we are going to focus on today is Zachariah Qureshi, number 2 right there. The second one with his name in yellow. And then I did want to touch base because I know some people get confused on this, and just so that everyone is aware, Russell Kim Kennington is number 3 there, and he is the one that is arrested on September 11th, breaking into the crime scene at UVU. And the reporting is really interesting on him. I do want to get into him a little bit later. I've found some interesting things. He is showing up in that white medical coat in a sweatshirt. I love a good sweatshirt. But he's showing up to reminisce on the crime scene and the events the day before and to take it all in, which is very morbid if you think about it. There is also a photo of him being walked out with officers where he looks like there was a rifle utilized, or there's a lot of things that could be going on there. So, and then number 4 is the one that most of us are aware of, Tyler Robinson, and he is the one that is going to court, or that is going to be on trial. Sorry, I was reading the private message from Marsh. So those are the 4 people that we're aware of that were apprehended or were suspect in this crime of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I do want to say, out of these 4 people on the screen, there is only one of them that did not say, I did it, or turn themselves in, or go to the crime scene after the fact. And I feel like that's really interesting. So that's what I think is really intriguing about Zachariah Qureshi. He is the one that went back to his apartment after the events happened, and he was apprehended there from his apartment. He was let go after he was questioned. So his family has spoken out about that and said that the police made a big mistake. However, George Zen again said that I did it. Russell Kim Kennington went back to the crime scene to reminisce on it, and Tyler Robinson turned himself in because I do think that he feared for his life. So a little bit weird when you think about that, because we only have one person on this screen that the police had to go seek out personally and arrest. And it's number 2. So we're focusing on him. And when we're talking about Zachariah Qureshi, he is probably the most interesting out of all of those 4 that I just spoke about. So this photo right here is Zach in front of the Knesset, the Israeli Knesset. This photo is taken, I'm making sure that I'm not misquoting the year. It's posted in 2018. So he's saying in this photo, the Knesset was neat. I like how he spells that. And then I do want to note his comment under it says, it's just a picture, not an endorsement, and a stone face on there, which I did find to be a little bit interesting. I know people don't like the word interesting. That is my nice way of not saying mean or offensive things. So if you don't like it, oops, I don't care. I'm just joking. I'm sorry that you don't like the word interesting. We got bigger fish to fry out here. Thank you all for coming. I see some familiar names in the comments. I almost said chat. Chat, comments. I don't know. I'm too old to know what we call these things. It's like Twitter, tweet. They change the words all the time. I still call it tweeting, but who knows? So we have Zachariah Qureshi in front of the Knesset here. And then his father, Ahmed Qureshi, is the co-founder of a company called Harbinger. And that company built identity resolution software specifically for the intelligence community and law enforcement, trained over 35,000 personnel, and then sold to Axicom. The press release, and I'll show it at some point as we're going through, it called it, The press release literally called the founders former intelligence officers, and his name is specifically in there as well as an intelligence officer. That same father is a longtime drilling reservist. He taught the Air Force Special Operations School, did a Fulbright in Jordan, and wrote his doctorate on U.S. counterterrorism decision making. His grandfather spent decades as a senior project engineer for Saudi Aramco, oil pipelines, and offshore platforms. His mother has a BYU master's with a thesis on freedom of the press in East Jerusalem and spent time at BYU Jerusalem Center, and his father did too. We'll go over that. But there's also a relative of his who's been a special agent in the State Department's Diplomatic Security Service for over 16 years, and it does say current on their LinkedIn. Another family member that is currently in military intelligence in the community, and the father who's a reservist still. But the individual who I believe will be active is with the 19th Special Forces Group and is tracking towards naval intelligence with Arabic and Farsi as languages. And all of this basically sits on top of the documented historical pipeline. And I will play parts of a clip today where Candace kind of went over that. And it's the exact same years or the time that the CIA's Family Jewels documents were being compiled and going on. And when we also see Gerald Ford's CIA publicly defending the use of American missionaries, including the Latter-day Saints, or as some refer to, Mormons, for intelligence gathering. BYU was already known as a preferred recruiting ground, and it's typically because a lot of people in the LDS community have clean backgrounds, language skills from their missions trips where they'll go over for a year or two somewhere, and it's not a weird occurrence for most people to go take a break from education or other things. That would be weird for most people, in my opinion. I don't think it's weird, but it would be weird because we're just not used to it in normal culture in America. The language skills are also something that's not common in a lot of America or the more rural areas. And there seems to be a lot of different cultures coming in here. And then we have a lot of just the intelligence orbit and military technology floating around, which we see throughout this story. That is also kind of ignoring the fact that his mother is from Arizona. His parents met at a wedding in Arizona, in Mesa, Arizona, and that all of these roads seem to be coinciding with each other. A lot of the same patterns over and over. The oil, the military intelligence software, was sold to the government at one point and has contracts. And we'll go over a little bit of that, touch base. I want to just show for people that don't have context on that, but other people have already covered it. And there are a lot of great people like Baron Coleman in the chat and Candace Owens who have already touched base on that. And I think other people have as well. But BILT has been talked about a lot. You can probably just look up BILT on X or on YouTube and find a ton of things on that. I don't want to repeat the same things over and over because I'll get bored. And so will you. And I'm already boring. So we do have the State Department security. We have Special Forces Intel, BYU Jerusalem, which has been a really interesting thing people have been running down, and a multi-decade intelligence recruitment pattern that targets this exact community, the same one that targets Stanford University. So I do believe that this could be a network, and I do believe that it could be why Zachariah Qureshi was apprehended, especially with the 911 calls that ended up happening, and why we see Zachariah Qureshi sitting at number 2, apprehended and suspect in the club next to Tyler Robinson. Does that mean that I think he's guilty? No. I do believe that it is quite possible that all 4 of the individuals that I have on this page right here had no idea what was going on. I think that that's actually a very likely scenario. And I think when you look at their background and you look at the paper trail that these individuals were probably selected to be so enticing for people to research over and over and go down different rabbit holes through all of the connections and everything else, because they want people to go crazy. They want people to have no idea where to go. They want people to repeat the same things over and over, like George Zen being involved in Boston, or the Quereshis having the connections to, I'm going to say, the business partners that are related to the Romneys. I mean, there's a lot that goes on. Tyler Robinson's roommate, Russell Kim Kennington, being into satanic stuff on his social media. I think that all of these people were selected to take the attention off of what we should be focusing on. I am going to cover Zachariah because I feel like there's a little bit of a difference there, where his orbit seems to be in the same orbit we see the France Ginta, military tech, intel, intelligence apparatus. But I do think his paper trail and his father's paper trail and his mother's paper trail show that they're not really cherry picked. They're not picked out and given a resume. They seem to do what they actually are reporting to do, and they seem to be educated in those fields. I don't think it's something they were just assigned or a role that they were given. So I think that theirs is a little bit of a different situation. So, moving back on, here is the picture of Zachariah Qureshi in front of the Knesset, where he says that the Knesset is neat. So I don't know why I always think of bread when I read that. So I do have some things that I will expand on with his posts. He has a lot of posts in the Middle East because he was in Israel, where it looks like he did a trip to BYU Jerusalem himself, and he studied in Jordan. His wife also studied in Jordan as well through one of those international schools, and he did his missions trip in Northern Europe as well. And his wife has traveled around a lot. She's also been in the Ukraine and a lot of other places. So that's something nice to know, not need to know. So I will touch base on that later. I do want to also mention, as I go into these things, I'm reviewing them. I have blurred out these people's usernames. I've blurred out everyone's usernames that is commented on their stuff. I've blurred out maiden names, and that is just because I do not want anyone to attack these people more than they already have been. I do think that this information is very relevant, but attacking people from behind a computer screen makes you no better than the people that individuals get angry at. And also harassing individuals from behind a computer screen is just the lowest of the low that you can get. I mean, I know that it's 2026, but we're all better than that. So please do not reach out to any of these individuals personally or their friends or family, because they deserve privacy and peace on their social media. You don't like people getting up in your comments on social media, so please do not do it to them. Okay. So then I have my notes on here, so I'm making sure that I'm not missing the point on some of these things. So Zach was at the event at UVU on September 10th, 2025, and he was present. So he was also noted in the articles being less than 25. I think it was like 25 to 30 feet away from Charlie Kirk on September 10th as well. So I saw some of those comments. I'm trying not to laugh so that I stay on track, but I'm laughing internally. Zach is an interesting guy as well. So I'm gonna hit the next. I am going to play the intro to Candace's clip that she has going over some of this. And I do have some articles. I'm not going to read them because you can go read them for yourself. But it is very common for the CIA and intelligence apparatuses to recruit from missionaries or from people that have cleaner backgrounds, to utilize churches, to utilize people that I don't want to say are used to following a certain regimen and are used to being disciplined is the word that I am trying to the words that I am trying to say without being offensive when I say that. So give me 1 second to switch what I'm sharing. Every time I see Seaside 514 in the comments, I think about how I don't live at the beach yet and I get sad. Okay. Okay, 1 second. You guys are just staring at my face. Okay.
Could you imagine being approached to work for the CIA in Jerusalem by Israelis? Notice, again, I am not saying allegedly here. I know this for a fact. I cannot be sued for this. This is factual. There is a friendship that you need to know about. A very close friendship, one that has spanned across decades. The friendship goes back to 1976. That's very sweet, actually. I don't know many people that can say they've been friends with someone for over 50 years, but these two men can. They go way back to Boston, where the two of them worked together. I mean, these two men, some might say, are ride or die, maybe even an emphasis on the die. Do you guys know who I'm referring to? So one of the things that I have been perpetually haunted by, and I've explained this to you many times, is that final phone call that Charlie had with Bibi Netanyahu. The one that took place in the Hamptons, the one that nobody, while they were authoring these long-winded tweets explaining that we didn't do nothing, tweets that were overseen by lawyers and PR agents, no one wanted to address Bibi Netanyahu's call. Charlie described it, as I told you, as an intervention over the topic of Israel. Bibi offered, as I said, to take Turning Point to the next level. And what troubles me is not knowing the answer in exchange for what? I mean, how much money would it take to bring an organization that is already pulling in $100 million per year to the next level? And also, where was this money going to come from? How are they going to generate that sort of an income? How could they know they were going to make that kind of money? I have an idea that it may have been guaranteed from like war profiteering, war in Iran, particularly the issue that Bibi and Charlie were butting heads about. War, as I told you a couple of days ago, is a big business, not just a big business, the biggest business on earth. And it's also a overtly political business. Next thing we know, Charlie is dead. Turning Point USA is trying to twist and reimagine his legacy as pro-war in the Middle East, war in Iran, and Bibi is doing the most, right? Bibi is doing the rounds saying, I didn't kill him immediately, when no one initially thought that he killed him until he said he didn't kill him. And we thought, did you kill him? It wasn't me, he said. But of course, as we thought further, I couldn't establish a connection between Bibi Netanyahu and Utah, right? Israel and Utah. Even though, as I began prodding the narrative of the Egyptian plains, it was revealed to me that there clearly is a connection to Israel and Utah. But why? How is this working? What's Bibi got to do with Provo? Does he have anything to do with Provo? Something was clearly missing. And then that something presented itself in the form of this lifelong friendship. Now, it would be difficult for me to overstate to you just how close Bibi Netanyahu is to Mitt Romney. Yeah, that Mitt Romney, the former senator of Utah, the one-time presidential nominee who ran against Barack Obama, the co-founder and the former CEO of Bain Capital. I mean, frankly, if I wanted to, I could do an entire series on his 50-year friendship with Bibi Netanyahu, their intense political support for one another, counseling to one another, a friendship which began, like I told you, back in 1976, when they were both working for the Boston Consulting Group. I mean, look, I'll just show you this quickly. This article in the New York Times back in 2012 says a friendship dating to 1976 resonates in 2012. And that is about, and it goes in and you should read it, about their remarkable friendship. Now, let's just keep that there. I want you to park that in the back of your mind. Romneys are a very powerful family in Utah. And I want you to park that information in the back of your mind, A, because I just can't believe I forgot it. It was somewhere, somewhere in a database, but it just, has kind of evaded me for a bit. But as we go forward, this information is going to become increasingly relevant as we revisit various aspects regarding certain individuals on September 10th that we had mentioned. Let's at first go back to the hospital, okay?
Okay. So I'm going to pause that there because we're going to move on to the next few things because there are some clips from a podcast where Ahmed Qureshi actually states other things that I found to be just as wild as this episode of Candace. So I do think there are a few other parts that I may play. I don't want to go over the same things that you guys have already seen, but I need to share my other screen. I wish that I could have, because of the way that I do this so that the sound is good when, oh, I just hit my hat. I have to stop share and then share, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Okay. There we go. We're back in business. So she had already touched base on this. We've already talked about this, the CIA and intelligence apparatuses being around the Latter-day Saint Church and in general, just more of tight-knit communities, people in rural areas. The CIA, the FBI recruits from everywhere. So there are a bunch of articles on this. I mean, this one specifically over on the right is actually about Mormon missionaries saying that they are taken for the CIA. There are ones about the FBI and why Mormons make a great fit for FBI recruits. And I mean, it gets pretty crazy because there are even books about it. There are companies, Watergate is a name that comes up in that as well. And then there are professors that do things on this. And Finland kept coming up as well, which I do think is relevant in a whole nother way, but it's not the most important thing in the world. So just there's another article there. This one actually talks about Salt Lake City and a graduate from there. So the University of Utah is mentioned in this one, and Maxwell served as the assistant director of public relations there. The Board of Regents, Tyler Boyer, served on the Board of Regents at Arizona State University, if anyone remembers that. And then Maxwell was also the dean of students, vice president of planning and public affairs, and a civic leader. He was the legislative assistant to Senator Wallace F. Bennett and served for 2 years with the United States Central Intelligence Agency. So a lot of interesting things going on in that time. The Family Jewels is also a very well-known CIA operation and report that you can go read on that happened around this time. I do believe, I'm not going to misquote on that, but it was a lot of the same stuff, basically the FBI meddling in also American affairs. And I believe Martin Luther King Jr. was targeted by the Family Jewels operation. I may be getting that wrong, but top of my head, I'm pretty sure. If anyone knows in the comments, you can say if that's right. If not, oopsies. I did want to touch base a little bit more on this because the letterhead actually says the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, and it's dated December 18th of 1975. And this one talks about, it says, Dear Senator Moss. I'm just going to read the top. Also, Senator Moss. I love Moss. I am Moss. I'm joking. It was shocking. It was shocking with, I can't read. It was with shocking I can't read at all, obviously. I'm going to try that again. It was with shocking indignation we read President Gerald Ford's statement about U.S. missionaries and foreign clergy being used by the CIA in its worldwide intelligence gathering activities. We hereby request the following: a public apology by the President of the United States for the deformation of the character of U.S. missionaries and foreign clergy. If the CIA has agents posing as missionaries, this practice must be stopped immediately. Do we think that that stopped? Because I'm not convinced that it did. Read it 5 times. Oh, 0.5. That's funny. I have ADHD. I don't really go 0.5. It's either on times 500 or nothing. I'm joking. It depends on the mood. But I did find it really interesting that number 2 is on here as well. If the CIA has agents posing as missionaries, this practice must be stopped immediately. I don't think that ever stopped because BYU Jerusalem is still ongoing, and it does seem that these people do have ties to the intelligence apparatuses as well. And then here's where things get even more funky. So I'm going to try to not zoom in too much so that you guys don't get whiplash everywhere. But this stopped me in my tracks when I found this, and I stumbled upon it by accident, just being curious, rewatching an old episode. But as I was looking at Zachariah Qureshi's grandfather, I came across a profile that said Mona Qureshi. And it said at the top, I have it circled here, Diplomatic Security Service at the U.S. Department of State. And I was like, huh, that is so weird. And I said something to one of my friends, and they were like, yeah, but Qureshi is such a normal name. And I was like, okay, but the data was pulling this profile with what I knew was her father's profile, and I had to prove it. And I did prove it, and it was a lot easier than I thought, but I tried to do it the hard way at first. So it does say on here from June of 2010 to present, so 16 years and 2 months. I will say sometimes people do not update their LinkedIn, and this is a screenshot from a LinkedIn. So that doesn't mean that they are currently a diplomatic security service individual, a special agent, if you will. But it does say Atlanta, Georgia, and I am aware that she does live in Atlanta, Georgia currently, or at least partially in Atlanta, Georgia. But the experience keeps on going because she also, from 2001 to 2011, for 10 years and 1 month, has been a petty officer in the U.S. Navy Reserve in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United Kingdom, and in Phoenix, Arizona. Mona has also been a crime analyst at the Tempe Police Department for 2 years and 10 months. She was also a workshop coordinator in Provo, Utah for Investitools that has an interesting scandal. I don't think that she is guilty of anything in that scandal, but I do think that the company had a lot of wrongdoing. Basically, a get-rich-quick scheme of workshops telling people that they would make money. I don't think that the people that were workshop coordinators would be aware of that personally, though. I don't think. It is. Also, I'm seeing this in the comment. Marsh is saying, fun fact, Qureshi is an extremely common name across the world. That is correct, but I had this inkling. I was like, no, Marsh, I know that this is something different. And he was like, no, look at this, how common this name is. And I'm like, okay. I love to prove people wrong. So, I did, but it was painful at first. And then the one that I have circled here at the end, she in Provo, Utah for 5 months. So from April of 2002 to August of 2002, she was a crime analyst intern at the Provo Police Department. Provo, Utah Police Department. She was a crime analyst intern in Provo, Utah. So that is what we have going on that side. And these were the need to know things that I felt like were very important and relevant to the second apprehension of Zachariah Qureshi from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm zooming into him in front of the Knesset because he says it's neat. Do you guys think it was early in the morning? It kind of does look early in the morning. He has to be a morning person. We should all pray for him. I'll pray for him because of that. Then we have Juliette Qureshi. This is Zachariah Qureshi's mother. She is from Arizona, and she used to work in media and news. She seems to be a pretty normal individual. I did want to mention here, we have Brigham Young University, BYU Jerusalem Center for Near East Studies, and she was there from January of 95 to June of 1995 as well. It's neat. Are you saying the morning is neat, or are you saying I'm saying it wrong? So that is the master's degree in international area studies, and her thesis is on the freedom of the press in East Jerusalem. If you think of East Jerusalem, you can go look on a map and see who is in control of that area, or who would have been in control of that area as well. And during that time, it was a lot more of a debacle of what was going on. And then the undergrad degree that his mother also has is from Brigham Young University, and it's in communications and international area studies. She's actually a double major as well, and had a full academic scholarship. She also studied abroad in London from July to December of 1990. Oh, Fiona, I'm not good at humor, obviously, but I did see that for a second when I looked over. So I wanted to just address it, why I saw it. Now I'm like so zoomed in, guys. I can't even zoom out. Okay, there we go. I was like, what am I doing? Okay, so this is Mona Qureshi on the left over here. On the right, we have the mother or grandmother, and her name is Anne. I'm going to call her Anne. I'm not going to say her full name. So they're traveling together. This lady over here, I think if I point this way, does it show on the, am I pointing at Mona? I don't know. I think I am. But over here, we have Mona on this side. If I'm on the wrong side, just pretend that I'm right, obviously. But that is the individual that is a State Department employee, has worked with the Provo crime internship that I just mentioned, and a few other things as well. Oh, thank you, David, for letting me know that I'm right. I don't know why I gave you a thumbs up. Like, boom. I don't know. Thumbs up are so much fun to give, and clapping. I love clapping. But I did want to also mention, thank you for coming. If you just got here, please hit the like button. It really helps. And apparently I nailed my thumbs up, so I'll do it again. But I did want to confirm over in the right side here, Anne, the grandmother of Zachariah Qureshi, or Ahmad Qureshi's mother, did confirm, I love my Mona girl. So grateful she found time to come with me to Norway 2 years ago. So this is a 5-year ago comment, a picture that I have so zoomed in that we can't see anything because I'm zooming in on my StreamYard like a doofus. Okay. Now, we have the oil guru that I'm going to introduce, and we will get back into. This is Mohammed Qureshi, and this is the grandfather, the paternal grandfather. He spent decades as a senior project engineer for Saudi Aramco, oil, gas, and pipelines, and he's related to Zachariah Qureshi through his son. There also is a connection through one of Zachariah Qureshi's brothers. He is going to school with BYU Global Supply Chain, and he's studying Arabic and Farsi. He is the one that's working in the military intelligence with the 19th Special Forces Group and the Utah National Guard as well. So he's also interested in cyber, space, all of the things. And he is sponsored for a scholarship that I will touch base on. But again, please do not reach out to them. He's trying to study, and we do need protection of our country. So that is a really great thing that he's doing. I did want to mention an interesting fact about Mohammed Qureshi. He has a NASA email address. So it does look like he worked I believe in Texas with NASA or some NASA project. And I say NASA weird. I'm from Indiana. My accent is not going to be the same as everyone else's. And he also has an email that I did not screenshot associated with him. Not going to say the end of it, but the beginning of the email is about being a chicken mutilator, I think. Is it like chicken wing mutilator? Marsh, if you could put it in the private chat, that'd be great so that I don't get that wrong. I don't know if that means he just really hates chickens. That's my favorite part of going to Kauai, hearing them clucking around. Okay, so it is chicken mutilator. I did get that right. The email address, the beginning of this email is chicken mutilator. Okay, I love how Marsh is also saying at Tyson.com. It is not Tyson.com. It's like a personal email address that is associated saying chicken mutilator. So maybe he just really likes to eat chicken wings. It reminds me of that song. I don't know if any of you guys had cringe songs in elementary school, but we had this one that was like McDonald's, McDonald's, you know, that one, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. And then you like talk about the chicken wings. If you guys didn't have that, I feel sorry for your childhood. We also had one about hard-boiled Easter eggs, and it is my favorite rap time of all song. And when it became spring and we had Easter time, it was our jam. When that was on our music education chairs, we all lit up like it was Christmas. And we sang, whatever word you use there, about being a hard-boiled Easter egg, because you cannot be an Easter egg unless you are simply hard-boiled. You will crack and it will be disgusting. So Marsh is saying it could be at that address though. Just send an email and try it out. That's not, no. Do not send an email to Tyson. That's so funny. Yeah, the Midwest does it different. She called me trash. It is a little bit different. It is a little bit different. So, okay. All right. Marsh, I don't know how to address. I'm going to trust that with you. I don't know what I said, but I obviously said something and Kick is being weird. But I'm going to leave that up to you. I don't know how to fix that. All right. So, getting back to the business, not the oil business like we have Muhammad in. This is Muhammad. He was born in, and I will expand on this in the I don't know how to kick them off kick. So I don't know how to kick it off the kick. I don't know why I had a British accent when I did that, a crappy one. But I did want to mention he was born in India when India was under British rule, essentially. I think it was called like Imperial British India. Spent a lot of time being raised in Pakistan, and then is, I believe, not considered Christian because of that. I do believe that he is Muslim on an article that was in here. He practices the Muslim faith. I could be misrepresenting that, so do not quote me on that. He is an oil guru, so I'm sure he could gas up your car. Just kidding. That's not how it works, but it would be nice, wouldn't it? Gas prices these days. Gas prices these days. I did not, Marsh, I'm seeing that comment. I selected the wrong thing. I need to go back and fix it. So, basically, when we are talking about Muhammad, this is him here again. And actually, this is Zachariah Qureshi's dad, Ahmed Qureshi. And he's over here on the right. And then he's on the left here. So this is Zachariah Qureshi's grandfather. Nice Columbia hat. An Ivy League man. And he wears his hat backwards. He's a straight G. Straight G. Look at him. Gangster. I see Marsha's comment. Okay. So, now I'm zoomed in and I can't zoom out. It's like, help, I've fallen and I can't get back up. A life alert button. I need a life zoom button. I did want to mention the mutual friends over here on the left. This is also how I somewhat confirmed the family tree that has been almost completely erased and eradicated from all public record for the most part, which makes sense if you're in the know. But this is also Zachariah Qureshi's Facebook profile picture. This is his beautiful mother and father. They do have a very beautiful family. This is his father's profile. Other people on here, distant family members and a sibling. So there are a lot in there. I just saw a comment that I will internalize. I'm laughing at it though. Okay. Oops-a daisies. All right. So I want to, and that was me also saying hi to Daisy because I did see her in the chat. Sorry that I did not acknowledge it yet. But I am going to play another minute or two of Candace's clip because it's really important to this podcast that we're going to get into to talk, to actually hear Ahmed. I think I'm saying that right. I wrote it down like 6 times with the Marsh could see me sitting here with my phone hitting play on the YouTube. And I was like repeating it over and over and over. And I'm still going to screw it up. So it is what it is. I'm not perfect. And we're going to hear from Ahmed Qureshi himself about how he met his business partner in the Middle East in the 1970s. And then we're also going to hear about how he met his wife at a wedding in Arizona. And it is a really good podcast. You can go listen to it yourself. I'm not going to play the whole thing because I don't want to waste your time. And I think that you should go watch it from them anyways. And 1 second. Here we go. Candace is ready. No battle bun though.
I'm told actually it's pronounced Timpanogos. Okay. Timpanogos Hospital. It's always been very strange to me, the setting, increasingly strange to me that we have no eyewitnesses inside of the hospital regarding September 10th. I mean, just randos that should be in the ER lobby, right? All of Turning Point, the staff that was there that day went over to the lobby. Not everybody went into the back, but they were there. Right? We're talking about an emergency room. People go there all the time. Your kid breaks in, everyone's racing in the emergency room. I'm not saying it needs to be like totally packed, but I'm saying there should just be a few strays hanging around that can tell me something about it. And as I reflect 6 months later, it's almost as if the emergency room had been completely cleared for Turning Point USA. We'll never know, of course, because when Kash Patel arrived, he had the FBI immediately seized the footage from inside the hospital. What a bizarre priority, right? Makes no sense. You got a manhunt, you're in the midst of a manhunt. Why would you grab footage of where Charlie was brought inside? I think if I was on Tyler Robinson's defense, I would probably want that footage. Yeah, I'd say you have that. I'd like to see it. Anyway, journalist Elizabeth Lane, that's the one who has been positing that Erica Kirk is a psychopath. She did another long post the other day on X, and she was actually a journalist that was on the ground that day. She went to Utah Valley Hospital, and she sent her colleague over to Timpanogos, and they were just staging outside, waiting for something to happen. And she was sort of remarking about how odd it was that they had locked down both hospitals, something that I brought up to you, right? They locked down both hospitals. The excuse that was given to the public was because the shooter was going from hospital to hospital looking for Charlie Kirk. But you know what? That's never actually been clarified. Who exactly were they referring to? What we do know is that shortly after that came over, the police scanner, oh, this might be going from hospital to hospital, they moved to detain a young man named Zachariah Qureshi. We almost forget, but it was after Zachariah was detained that Kash Patel rather gloriously issued a tweet which effectively ended the manhunt prematurely. In many ways, we should start to think of Zachariah Qureshi as decoy boy number 2. Okay, first it was George Zinn, jumped up and down immediately and said, "I did it, I did it." He would later tell people at Utah Valley, where he was being treated, that he was paid to do that. Wonder if the FBI is interested in that tidbit that I have said on the show. And I'm telling you that's what happened. That was the first time that the responding police officers who said they felt like they were intentionally being sent all around were sent essentially off of the trail of the true assassin. But next came the public declaration from our director of the FBI, which held a lot more weight, claiming officially that they had the guy. He wrote this at 4:21 p.m. Mountain Standard, so almost exactly 4 hours to the minute that Charlie was shot. Kash Patel authored this tweet. The subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with the FBI. We will provide updates when able. Okay, well, you imagine if you are a responding police officer and you see that the director of FBI has tweeted that, you just stop looking. Anything that looks shady, you don't care. Doesn't matter. I guess it's over. We got him. Great, great news. And that's how it stayed for an hour and a half. Kash Patel's mistake provided the true assassin or the assassins an hour and a half buffer to get away. Police wrapping up. No reason to continue looking, right? Until finally at 5:59 p.m., he clarified, he announced on X that, oh, never mind. Here's what he said. The subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency. Well done, Kash. Well done. Again, no further information was provided as to why this particular individual was detained in the first place. Who is this guy? Who is Zachariah Qureshi? I wondered. Also, is there any chance, I know it's crazy, but is there any chance there's going to be another military connection? Well, apparently I'm a little late to the party because I was talking to Baron Coleman this weekend and he's like, yeah, I did an episode on Zachariah Qureshi. You should check that out. And I would say this to you guys that you're not going to believe this, but you probably will. You probably will actually believe this. Zach's father, Zachariah's father, is actually an 06 in the military. You remember that term. I was getting familiar with it and fumbled over my words. Mitch Snow, he said he saw this meeting conclude with a bunch of 05s and 06s coming out of Fort Huachuca. Well, Ahmed Qureshi, that is Zachariah's father, he is an 06 in the Navy. That means he's a commanding officer. That's the equivalent to a colonel in the Air Force. And he has extensive ties to the Middle East as well, I might add. You might have gathered that from his name. But let's take a look at Ahmed's LinkedIn because it is relevant. Again, this is decoy boy number 2's dad. Okay, let's check this out. It lists Ahmed first and foremost, as you can see here, as the president and COO of Built Incorporated, which is based in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Now, I just want to honorably mention here that Texas seems to be a very common theme in this investigation. I think by now we all suspect, given the planes traveling that day.
Okay, I do agree. Texas is very relevant in this. And I think for a few different reasons, I accidentally have way too many things open. But when we're also talking about the beginning of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's first large donor, Foster Friess, however you freaking say that, is from Texas. He's a Texas fracking billionaire. We also have Ted, which Ted is not even Ted Cruz's real name, it's Raphael, but the Canadian politician who wanted to be the first in over 100 years president, not born in the United States or on the United States soil. He is also living in Texas and is a more oil software guru nepo baby from Texas, from his Cuban father that has lived foreign. And then we also have the brothers that gifted Rob McCoy his church that live in Texas. And not only that, but we have the security company and everything else living in Texas. So I don't know if Beyonce was time traveling and making songs about Texas and wanting to get into the country scene to kind of foreshadow what was going on. But Texas is really weird. Turning Point has also continued to go to Texas over and over, or want I think the high school clubs at every Texas high school. There's a lot of ties, I also believe, to Alex Jones and his bankruptcy case in Texas, which could be why I personally believe some things have been said, or that people are almost getting close to people to be able to do like a Hail Mary to sacrifice them instead of themselves to lose everything that they have for their families. And I think that's very common when you also look at Jack Posobiec, no Texas tie, in my opinion, but the same thing. He is the father, the guy behind Macron Leaks. Go look at the hashtag on X, Macron Leaks. Jack Posobiec was the guy that was known for releasing 2 days before an election the Macron Leaks stuff. He's talking about mind control medication and all of these conspiracies. And that's just like one of the things that he's done. But I do believe that it's quite plausible that Jack Posobiec knew Candace Owens was going to be a problem for him and what they had planned in the future. And he knew that Candace loved researching and diving into things that have truths and false narratives too. So she likes deciphering what's real here, what's the pattern, what can I see over and over again. And I don't think Candace also likes when people are taken advantage of. So when you hear about Emmanuel Macron and you hear that story, a lot of people are moved by that. A lot of people are moved by an adult taking advantage of a young child and implementing their own agenda onto someone that's young. That's wrong. Most people could not even fathom being attracted to someone that's 5 years younger than them, especially when you're younger. And for him, his teacher was attracted to him at a very young age. And then he married her, him, her, whoever it is. I don't know. But I do believe Jack Posobiec has continuously, and the orbit that all showed up around Charlie Kirk at the same time, tried to plant scandal after scandal after scandal to ruin people, to make them cancel themselves. I do believe all along that that is what has been the plan. And I believe that's why they are doing what they are doing now as well. I don't believe that they have ever wanted to continue the mission of Turning Point USA or the mission and life work of Charlie Kirk. And that is the most morbid thought that I've ever had. But that is my personal opinion and belief when I look at their actions, their rhetoric, and quite frankly, how selfish they all are. It's insane. Like Candace does not need to sit there and talk about Charlie every day. And it's not for money. She doesn't have to work. So I don't understand how you could even come to that argument if you have a few brain cells. Like she enjoys having something to look forward to and researching and being someone that is presenting the news or news, what she considers newsworthy sources and things and stories. Because if you haven't noticed, you can go turn on the news. It sucks. I've turned on the news and I feel like it's worse than the Jerry Springer show sometimes. I'm like, what is this? I hear what people are saying and I'm like, what is going on? Why are they all reading the same lines? Why are they all talking about Iran that way? Because it's very clear if you go and do the research that Nikki Haley was the one that convinced Donald Trump to step away from the JOPCA or whatever the letters are with that agreement, because she said it was not simply enough to believe Iran was following the rules because they could have bad intentions, essentially. I'm not quoting her word for word, but as soon as she got Donald Trump to step away from that agreement and a few other things, she resigned from that position. So I don't know, but I wouldn't trust someone that's over there signing bombs. She's a parent. She has children. I think that that's the most disgusting thing in the world, that someone could sign a bomb and be happy about it and put a heart on it. I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to understand that. actually. So I'm going to try to not get too upset about it because I just did internally. But moving on to the next thing and the next crazy sauce. Okay, I have the wrong thing shared on the screen. I only have 2 hands and I was using one to work or to talk too much. Oh no, half the screen is blank. I'm joking. I mean, it is, but it's about to not be. Okay. Here we have Grandpa Mohammed Qureshi again, the oil guru. And next, we're going to get into Ahmed Qureshi. And this is the father who is the founder, co-founder of Built Technology. And we are going to hear directly from him. I do believe that it may, I think I can pause it if it starts playing. Okay, so I'll go back to it. But he is married to someone that he met from Arizona. You're going to hear him talk about that real quick. And he's founded another technology company. And the I do want to mention this other technology company. I have an article to confirm this that we'll talk about, but they essentially would work on foreign language intelligence tools for the intel community and law enforcement. And I know that I touched base on that in the beginning, but I do think that that's quite interesting when you also think about Celebrate and all of the other technology and how you would essentially be aware or have a pipeline, kind of like Axon and Carbine, and Axon in Arizona buying Carbine, to know what was going on with law enforcement, to be able to track the way that vehicles were moving and all of those things. And yes, they have data, they have audits, they have all of those things. They have MOUs that people have to agree to. But that doesn't mean that people always follow the rules. We've had a lot of times where individuals have not followed the rules. We've all broken rules. I'm not proud to say it, but I've broken rules myself. Have I done it on purpose? I mean, sometimes, like when my doctor says, don't eat food when you're about to go to bed. You best believe sometimes if I want popcorn, I'm going to eat it before I go to bed. You know, I'm going to die with an empty stomach of popcorn if it's going to kill me. That's just, it is what it is. And sometimes I'm a crazy person and I even eat it in bed. And it drives my husband nuts because I'm a very messy eater. Okay, I'm going to go back to hit play on this, but I was saying that because I knew that that annoys people.
You know, you do the best.
Oh no, did it just pause? No. What? 1 second.
You know, you do the best you can.
Oh no. Hold on.
Montreal mission. So we talk about let's go up there and hit both places, see Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa.
Yeah.
So I do. I think it'd be fun to go back. People tell me it's grown tremendously, and so it would be fun to see the difference.
Yeah.
In 1992 when I left.
So, all right, 92, you leave, and where did you go from there?
I went to Brigham Young University.
Okay.
Where I had gotten into, but instead I went to Hampton, Sydney, and I decided after my mission, I'm going to go back to BYU, and I'm going to go there.
Yeah. In Provo, Utah?
Provo, Utah. That's
okay.
Right.
What'd you study?
So I did a fun degree. I did Middle East Studies in Arabic. And at the time it was called Near Eastern Studies in Arabic, but today it's called Middle East Studies in Arabic. But it was just a fun degree. You know, I'd grown up in the Middle East. I liked languages. And in Saudi, we had the choice of Spanish, French, or Arabic. And for most of my years, I took Arabic. So I had been exposed to it. My dad's from India, raised in Pakistan. After the Civil War, they moved from India to Pakistan after World War II. So I've been exposed to Arabic and languages that used a lot of Arabic loanwords. So I was always interested in that. I said, hey, I didn't really nail it before. I think I'm going to study it and see what I can do. And at the time, I thought, you know, maybe I'll go active duty. And so I joined the Utah Army National Guard, enlisted, and I joined what was called at the time, they had this SMP program, simultaneous membership program, where you can serve in the National Guard and also do Army ROTC to prepare to commission when you graduate as a second lieutenant. I thought, oh, I'm going to go in, I'm going to be an intelligence officer and be great. And unfortunately, this is the Clinton years. It's the drawdown post, you know, the wall has fallen, and we basically gutted our military and our intelligence services. I think 1 year in there, you could have gone to the Naval Academy, West Point, Air Force, and they didn't have slots for you. So they let people out of their obligations. It was just really rough time. They just didn't have enough spots to serve. And then with ROTC, they came to me one day and said, you need to sign your contract, but we can't guarantee you the job you want. So if you're willing to do, armor or cavalry, and I had previously been a combat engineer in the Army, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Nothing against it, but I want to do something else. So I actually dropped Army ROTC and just stayed enlisted in the Guard. And I just kept studying, and I ended up going overseas, 6 months in Jerusalem, studied Arabic there. My wife did her master's thesis there as well, research. And then after I graduating, we went over to Jordan for a year. I had a Fulbright, and we just studied Arabic and hung out, my wife and I and my daughter.
And did you meet your wife in college?
Yes.
At BYU?
We actually met at a wedding in Arizona, but, we dated up at BYU.
Okay. You were both students and you met at a wedding in Arizona?
We did, yeah.
That's too funny. You got to travel to meet somebody that's right in your backyard.
Yeah, her cousin served in Toronto in the same mission I was in, and ended up marrying someone I worked with very closely. And so I went to the wedding and I met my wife there.
Okay.
Yeah, Mesa, Arizona.
Wow.
So he worked with someone that got married in Mesa, Arizona, that he worked with very well in Mesa, or that he worked very close with in Mesa, Arizona. I forgot how to talk for a second. So I don't know if that means this is high IQ or not, but sometimes the words cannot keep up. I did want to mention as well, he went with his wife as they studied in BYU Jerusalem, and he studied language, and then they did go to Jordan. I also wanted to mention Zachariah Qureshi has spent a lot of time in Jordan, and so has his wife. And they both have traveled to Israel as well. I don't think that predominantly makes them suspicious. But what I do think is very suspicious is the current role that Zachariah Qureshi is taking in his career. Basically with getting into investments, which I will show. And I also think it is bizarre that you would, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but I think in 2026, it is a little bit bizarre to go to school to be a musician. Why? Unless you're doing producing or something. I mean, that's kind of something you can learn. Not to sound like Charlie Kirk, but it's kind of a scam because you need to take voice lessons, you need to sing and everything else. And to pay a ridiculous price to be able to do that is insane. But when you look into the way that intelligence apparatuses work and how all of that comes together, a lot of the times people will have boring jobs or jobs that allow them to travel. And there has been a lot of suspicion with people, even in Hollywood and everything else, where there is suspicion of that. I did want to mention, and Pat said this earlier, so thank you, Pat Malone, but it is also the number 30. Oh, I zoomed into the wrong thing. That's so embarrassing because you guys couldn't see it any better. But this is episode 30. Oh, wrong side of the screen. 33 that we have Ahmed Qureshi telling us that he met his wife at a wedding in Arizona. So do with that what you will. But it's not like Amy Twigs is also from Arizona, right? It's not weird at all. Not weird at all. That's exciting, Danielle. That is exciting. So interesting guy. I think that he is living the American dream, coming here basically as a first generation American. And he does divulge a little bit more. And then I also have the other recording that I thought was really important that cut off. I don't know why it only had a few seconds. This originally was a 60-page PowerPoint presentation that I culled down to less than half because you guys don't always like all of the nuggets that I have and bring. And that's okay. But some of them are just extra. They're like I don't even like cherries. So saying cherry on top is not great. And if you like cherries, I'm only judging you slightly a lot because they're disgusting. But anyways, hitting play.
30 years ago, we got married. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
All right. So you got married while you were in school?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess that's not a very typical college experience for most people in America anyway. What was that like being married in college?
It's very common at BYU, actually. Yeah.
I get that.
I was very focused. I mean, once we got married, I'm not dating anymore.
Right.
Right. Focused on school and graduating and what comes next, Yeah. Grad school, I started applying for different graduate programs. And I applied for this Fulbright, and my wife was finishing up grad school at BYU as well. So we just became focused on trying to get schooling done and figure out what we're going to do next.
All right. So you went to Jordan for a year, and by then you had a kid.
Yes.
Just one?
Just one, yeah.
All right. And what all were you doing in Jordan?
I was studying Arabic at the University of Jordan, and then I took additional classes at some institute on the side. And I also interned in the Jordanian parliament. It was a fascinating experience.
So he took some classes at an institute on the side. I wonder what institute that was. It's not weird at all. And he also just said that he was working and interning, not working, I guess, depending on the laws, in the Jordanian parliament. Because that's totally normal to intern in the Jordanian parliament as an American and as an American citizen. I don't know if he's a dual citizen or not, but he did not grow up in Jordan. He grew up in Saudi Arabia. And he talks about that a little bit in the other one as well. So I don't know. I feel like it would be quite bizarre as well if we had people that were not already of diplomatic status or had security clearance in our country, unless it was some type of joint intelligence operation, like a very interesting one that includes France and Egypt and a few other countries that was going on after September 10th, 2025, for someone to be involved in the Jordanian parliament and interning in that way. It's just weird. It's a huge security risk, in my opinion. In my personal opinion, if you have to make me take my gum out of my pockets at the airport, I don't think it should be normal for I don't want to say alien. Alien's like the wrong word, but I know that's the proper word. For someone that is a foreign citizen to be in our government interning. It's weird. I love how Marsh is talking about the chicken nuggets. I said we'd have to keep away those chicken nuggets from Muhammad because he's known as the chicken mutilator, apparently. And Marsh is saying that he might excel at it. I don't know. That's...
Is that something you can talk a little bit more about?
Yeah, I mean, it was an exercise in meeting lots of people and having the opportunity to speak the language in different circumstances.
Okay. Were you spending your time with diplomats or with their elected officials?
So the Fulbright program used to be under an organization at the State Department that doesn't exist anymore. It used to be called the USIS, United States Information Service. And now a Fulbright program is just administered under the State Department. But we actually did meet diplomats because I would have a chance to access the embassy. And I remember going to events at the ambassador's house there.
And his sister is technically kind of a diplomat. I have the job description.
So yeah, it gave us the opportunity to access embassy privileges. But really what I was doing there, I was just going all over the city, hanging out, just trying to perfect my language skills.
Wow. So where did you go after Jordan?
We came back to Arizona to prepare to go to Thunderbird School of Global Management.
Arizona. He comes back to Arizona. He doesn't live in Arizona anymore.
Management, where Nate and I met back up, my current business partner, we met back up. He went off to work after BYU. He graduated the year after me and then went to work at a company called New Skin International in Provo, Utah. And then I went off to do this Fulbright and then went to Mesa, where my wife's from, and took some prep classes because I didn't do any business classes in undergrad. It's like, I need to learn marketing, finance, accounting. So I took a couple of classes to prepare for that at a local community college, and then entered the MBA program at the Thunderbird School of Global Management.
And were you working while you were getting your MBA?
By then I'd switched from the Army National Guard to the Army Reserve. So I was just doing reserve duty. And my wife actually really wanted to be a reporter. And she'd gone through the broadcast news program, and she had been a reporter at PBS KBYU and had worked as an intern, I think, at Fox News. And there may have been one other place. I can't remember them all. And then when we went to grad school, she ended up being an associate producer, worked for both Fox News and CBS. So she really worked, basically put me through grad school. We took some loans out. We still had our first kid. And then I just buckled down to graduate as fast as I possibly could.
Okay.
So we also have another media connection, and I am working on clipping it so that people can see it in bite-sized pieces, because I know not everyone likes to watch the long lives. I feel bad for you because I love a good long live. But Charlie Kirk was not the original founder of SOS Liberty with his friends. I went into it I believe it was the last episode. Bill Montgomery is known for the founding of SOS Save Our Schools in Lamont, Illinois. And he seemed to be in the same orbit of newspapers and broadcasting and all of those things, just like Cabot Phillips' father was. Philip Cabot's, I don't know. I say his name backwards all the time because I'm honestly not a big fan. And I think that he was also primed to be someone to build coalitions when their fathers or the individuals that were paying for them could no longer carry on the Tea Party mission and everything else that came along with it. Because the Tea Party mission also, or the Tea Party Patriots, was about getting things done and essentially like being a third political party and getting rid of the left versus the right and focusing on the country. But I don't think a lot of them were really focusing on that. And in my opinion, I think it was a lot of talking, a lot of meetings that could have been emails, and not a lot of effectiveness. And it's no different than the both popular political parties that we have now. I mean, we're talking about the same FBI that we're trusting to have a proper investigation, whether it's state or federal, from September 10th, 2025 to now. Kash Patel has not properly followed up on any of those leads that he was following, like he tweeted about in September when the public was pushing back over and over. And he tweets all the time. He's tweeting about all of these different things. And they still have not released the files that were randomly found in December of 2025 with Jeffrey. Those files have been around for over a decade. So it makes no sense. Those files were in the same offices, the same orbits, and the same information space when Dan Bongina worked in those places. You can go look it up. When Jeffrey Epstein's first victim came forward in New York City from Interlochen in Michigan, where he had a cabin that he sponsored, the FBI did not properly follow up on that report. And Dan Bongino was working there. Dan Bongino also goes down to Florida. So I'm not saying he's guilty, but I am saying he did a lot of talking about the conspiracy and basically wanting all of those files to come out. And the files look like they're obviously planted to make one political party look better than the other. And you can see that in the timeline. There are a lot of files that are missing, and there are a lot of pieces in the timeline that are missing. And it looks like when they realized that they were going to have to pivot and that intelligence and technology was way better of an apparatus than a human blackmailing someone and knowing all of your secrets, because you could literally blackmail the entire world instead of just politicians. He essentially only left a paper trail that would incriminate those he wanted to incriminate later. And I think that that was all by design. I don't think that that was an accident at all. And I think that the things that are in those files that he would not email about before his first arrest were an insurance policy for him. And probably why Morocco keeps coming up in a lot of these orbits, because he also tried to purchase a home in Morocco that is completely removed from Google Maps if you try to go look it up, for months, for actually I think a few years. And then it was hard because his girlfriend at the time had to do a lot of things. And then I think 2 days after he stopped hanging around, his financial advisor, the estate, canceled the wire for that property. But it's in Morocco. And I don't know. It's like, it seems like when the public has had enough of these people that are in the intelligence or the military technology space, they seem to be having heart valve things blow up or they get extracted. And then people ask why we're still talking about them. So it's interesting. It is interesting. I'm going to hit play to expand on this last part. I just went on a huge tangent about Kash Patel and Dan Bongina, but I will say, I think that I don't know what happens to people when they get in these positions of power where they think that they are almost invincible and that they can do no wrong. But I think all of humanity needs to realize all of us are capable of doing really good things and really bad things. And the external, the evil, is not just an external thing. We can harbor that within us. We can wish ill will on other people. And that's not how we should live. Like, we should not have resentment. We should not have hate in our hearts. And we have to be just more open as a society. Like, it's a little bit bizarre that people think that they cannot be wrong or that they're always right. And I do not understand that at all. It's the craziest thing to me. I love a good conversation with someone that does not agree with me on things. I love it. I don't love a good conversation when someone thinks they are 100% right about something and when they can't talk it through or they have no rhyme or reason why they believe something is right. You can't just say you believe something is right because someone told you that. You know how flawed humanity is. And I mean, even biblically, humanity and knowledge is very flawed. So we just really got to keep that in mind. Like, knowledge is the root of a lot of, it can be manipulated. And it's sad. Okay. All right. Is someone calling, hold on. Is someone calling me Danielle? My name is Dominique. I don't know if there's a Danielle in here. I feel bad if there is. Oh, there is a Danielle. It's not about me. It's not about me. I thought it was. Sorry. I'm such a jerk. I will say at the same time with this one right here, I'm going to get to these two before I go back here. I also feel bad for people that have a price. And I feel bad for them because I could not fathom being that desperate to do something like that. I could not fathom knowing something is wrong and doing something of that nature. So I feel bad for him. I know that he's a father. I know that he has a family. And maybe he thinks he's right. But I'm also sure that if he thinks he's always right like that, he probably has a lot of nights where somebody's sleeping on the couch or something, because I don't think you can have a successful marriage and think that you are right about everything. My husband is in the other room and he always says that I'm right about everything. Just kidding. He lets me think I'm right about everything, so I'm not perfect in that either. But I will say, like, you have to be able to take some criticism, kind criticism, or kind like, hey, what are you doing? Or hey, like, what's going on? Why are you so upset? Why is this agitating you so much? I don't know. Maybe it's just like a ginger thing. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. I dyed my hair red one time. It was fake red, so I don't get it. But then I saw this and it is really interesting. It does talk about this in the podcast. And I thought that that was really weird. It's because both of their fathers went and worked in the oil industry. And if you look at the original patents that somebody had in the industries that they were in with their original businesses, and I think it's Operation Freedom. I forget the term, the actual operation name, but it's a weird orbit of people that keep coming around and going around. And I've never known that many people that are in that space. Or if people are in the military, they don't want to talk about it. They don't start businesses. They don't. It's weird. It's weird. That's all. I'm going to be nice and say that it's weird.
And what did you want to do on the other side of your MBA?
So I decided I'm not going to go off the Indian active duty Army until officer. That, things had just kind of cratered in the military at that time, opportunities for what I wanted to do. So I said, I'm going to go into international business. Let me apply some of these experiences of having grown up overseas, having traveled to Pakistan where my dad grew up, he originally from India and all over the Middle East. My mom's from Europe, had been all over Europe. I said, I understand international. Let's go do international business. So that's why Thunderbird School of Global Management was just a great place for me to attend, and got the core classes, finance, marketing, accounting, strategy, and all with an international flavor. Even studied international business in Arabic. They had a course there as well. They even had a course. We went over all over the Middle East, just hitting different businesses in, at the time, Lebanon and also the Persian Gulf. So I was preparing myself to be able to then make myself very marketable to somebody who said, look, I need help overseas in the Middle East region, and make myself as attractable and marketable to them as possible.
Did you have companies in?
So I think that statement is very important when we think about the Middle East, and we think about the Cheneys, and we think about the Romneys that are going to come up here again when I play the rest of that tidbit of Candace's clip, where she also talks about the built contracts, and I think actually has the clip of Barron's show too. So it's like a 2-in-1 thing. I didn't even have to have multiple tabs open for that, which I usually screw up. So because I have to have it in Chrome. I hate using Chrome. I don't know if you guys like to use Chrome. I am a Safari girl. Not just because of the hat. Not just because of the hat. Also, I have no idea why this put you in timeout. I'm going to look at that. I don't know what word. Is it because of the emojis? Keeping it clean. I'm going to have to look at that. Oh. This is weird. I don't know why I did that. I'll look. Chatbot went crazy. I don't know why it did that. I'm going to have to put it in timeout. I need to go in and change it. I think I have some keywords that I was trying to avoid for the algorithm that did crazy. So, I don't see what happened though, because it didn't even show me the word. I just see 2 emojis. He was civil. Huh. Lasers. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Oh, well, it would have shown in there. I don't think the B word is off. I'll have to go check. I do think some of my little cousins watch this, so there are some words that I did put in there. I know that that's annoying, but I am the oldest of the oldest of the oldest. I am like a 3rd generation blessing of an accident from my mother's womb. And some of my little cousins are not even a year old. So a lot of young people that have tablets, and if they're watching, there are some words that if they see it, they will repeat, and they are off limits. So I'm sorry that is annoying, but thank you for coming. And I'm going to finish this part of it.
Mind that, did you go into this thinking, man, these 5 companies would be the dream coming out of this program?
No, not really. I did decide, I will look at some of the government agencies. So I did go through the recruitment process for some government agencies, and I just decided that's not what I wanted to do full time. Also, they were so poorly paid, and I had accrued student loans. I had accrued graduate level business school student loans. And after 9/11, the government changed and began paying off student loans. But prior to 9/11, I mean, it was just terrible. The pay was horrific, and people with mounting student loans just couldn't even afford to do it. So I flirted with that. But at the end, I was like, if I'm going to pay my student loans off and have any kind of quality of life for my family, I need to go into business. So what I decided, because I hadn't worked a ton. Some students at MBA school had worked 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, I had experience, but it was doing different things. A lot of this international.
So he has a lot of experience in international things, and he flirted with working in intelligence, and he went through the process. But essentially what he says too is that it doesn't pay enough. So again, we have that pattern of money. And that pattern keeps coming up with a lot of people. It also makes no sense to me why you would try to be an entrepreneur and want that funded by someone else, because you're going to be answering to someone else as well. Thank you for the new people that are rolling in. I am appreciative that you are here. And I will go look at chat box, being a little bit excited. And I also did want to say, I do also use DuckDuckGo, especially for research. If you would like to learn the process of what I do from time to time, I am working on eventually getting a members. I have it in there. I just don't have it completely set up because I want to be able to go live at least once a week just for members, or bi-weekly. I have some things I've been working on, just kind of showing the process of how I do things, or how I search for things that are kind of buried in the algorithm of search engines. And DuckDuckGo is a really great one. And I love how easy. I don't feel like it's as much of a manipulated search engine as Google. No offense to the Google guys, but it sucks because people can just pay for crap. And I also really like the way DuckDuckGo brings up completely different resources and some of the manipulation you can do when you're searching for things, not even with advanced search as well. So I also wanted to mention, getting back off of my ADHD tangent that I just went on about DuckDuckGo, that I don't think you would go through the recruitment process to work in the intelligence world if you were not aware of the salary or payment options or any of those things. I think what is more plausible is that you met someone in that process because you were meeting a lot of people during your Fulbright and other things. And I think that it is very plausible that you met someone who also really liked money, but had a lot of it and didn't know what to do with it. And you both saw and took it as an opportunity. I do not think that it is normal at all to go through the recruitment process or to put you or your family through that, because he has spoken about how he at least already had one child at that time. And it makes no sense to me that you would go through a process that's over a year long in recruitment, especially with multiple intelligence things, and that you wouldn't want to do it full time. So what does that mean? Are you doing it part time? I mean, I know that you have to have some type of clearance and all of those things with your contracts, but it's totally different. You wanted to do it on your own time and not have someone tell you what to do, essentially, and make way more money. Basically, instead of serving your government, you wanted to take advantage of your government if you're getting those contracts, is the difference when we see the money pipeline and we see the money focus over and over and over again. Is how I believe that decision was changed. So I just got a little bit emotional about that. Okay. So I do want to mention my other thing cut off. So I do have, I think this will play. I'm going to pull it up on here. I'm going to go back to the finishing of Candace, because he also talks about, someone said it in the comments, but it is really great in this podcast that you should all go listen to if you're bored, or you can just listen to the highlights of it here. But Candace is going to finish us off with the Hendersons in the Romney connection. And I believe Barron is going to talk about the built contracts as well, just to give a quick synopsis of that, or I don't even know if that's the right word. I feel like it's the right word. If it's not, what the hey? Pretend it is the right word. An overview of that. That's why I shouldn't use big words. And then we're gonna wrap up the few pipelines and see more pictures of the Qureshis in the Middle East, and somebody losing a mustache after he's in the hospital with a black eye. It's very bizarre. All right. Switching gears. Oh, Vespara, don't be sorry. It's my fault that I have Nightbot set up different. I don't know what I did. I also love ducks. So if you're sorry about the ducks, don't worry about it. I love a good duck. I was getting one for my bookshelf. I like birds. I sit in my sunroom all the time listening to the birds. Okay.
Also, the planes the day before from Fort Huachuca that there may be a Texas play in Charlie Kirk's assassination, just like there was a Texas play in JFK's assassination, I might add. The CIA ran that operation out of Texas. Anyway, what does Built Incorporated do? That's interesting, right? It tells us that the award-winning Built app provides 3D interactive and XR immersive intelligent instructions that are voice and text guided. Beginning with a product overview, Built includes tools that are required, parts included, and gently directs the procedures step by step. So we have some sort of an intelligence app that is 3D and immersive that can be used. Okay, so what does that mean? And more importantly, what does it mean in the context of a man who has spent 26 plus years in the military? Again, Ahmed Qureshi is currently a commanding officer in the military. We can see that by clicking through to his profile. He's an 06, which means he's not a small cheese, okay? Right there on his profile, it lets us know that he is the commanding officer, the headquarters of the East Coast. I don't know what the RC stands for, continental US. It tells us he's a captain and that he, it has all the dates here from May 2024 to present. You can see he's been in 06 for a while. Previously, he was in 05. Now, since the military is not a past life, but a current life for Ahmed, we can assume that whatever he's doing for Built does not conflict with his job.
I also just want to know, I think I've been saying Ahmed right because Candace was saying it the same way. If I mispronounced it once or twice, don't judge me because it gave me two pronunciations before and I was doing it over and over and over. I think I might order chicken nuggets too. I see that in the comments. If my husband hears this and gets me chicken nuggets, that would be great. I would love chicken nuggets right now.
In the military. In fact, we can further assume that Built is somehow related to his job in the military because his LinkedIn also informs us that Ahmed co-founded Built back in 2015 when he was full-time as an 05. So Built's been a company for a decade. And you should know that this company receives funding from the Department of Defense, okay? Contracts from the Department of Defense. And curiously enough, Built received a large injection of cash, over $7 million to be more exact, at a very interesting time. And I'm going to let Baron Coleman explain to you their curious pattern of federal funding that came in for Built. Take a listen.
Again, nothing major, nothing crazy.
So this is our principal introducing the teacher, Baron. And I thought it was funny that it was already clipped like this because it made my life 10 times easier because I am too old to have all of these tabs. And then sometimes I exit out of them. And if I don't have them all saved or bookmarked, I'm screwed. And then I have to go find them all again. So I have like a bajillion lists in 5 places just so that does not happen anymore. But it is not always the most fun. All right, hitting play again. I did just text my husband and ask to get chicken nuggets if he can hear this on the TV. That would be great. I am also not that old. I just feel old. I feel like I'm 90. I'll let you guess how old I am.
Until this one, boom, 4.9, 2.4. Well, when the hell were these contracts? When were these contracts? I'll tell you what, I'll be really suspicious if these contracts were in the planning phases of the Charlie Kirk event at Utah Valley University. I'll be really suspicious because we said the Utah Valley University event was probably beginning to be planned around June. The exiting of Charlie Kirk from this mortal plane, we estimated, based on our investigation, started around March or April and really heated up in June and July. So when were these massive $7.5 million worth of contracts on a company who had not had much more than one single contract of any value in the previous 4 or 5 years? When was this one? Let's look here. It's these, I'll make it the top 2 lines. Let's look together and see when these 2 contracts were. Up June 1 and June 16 of 2025.
Ahmed, remember, Zachariah's dad, he's listed as a co-founder of Built. Who did he co-found this with? Who is his business partner? Who's the other half of this intelligence app that got a nice injection of cash from the Air Force in June? That would be a man.
Okay, so she is going to go on to talk about the Hendersons that relate to the Romneys. I am pausing it just to give context there as well, because I don't want to play someone else's videos start to end. I could show the few screenshots I have over here that I'll go over to just wrap it up, but it's not the end of the world, and I don't think I can do it better than her or Barron, but I did not want to break the terms and conditions or take credit for their work start to finish, because it's not my work. And I do think that this was really amazing research. So I'm giving her a thumbs up to be cringe. And you should hit the thumbs up in the bottom of this video. I'm joking, but you really should. I don't like saying that.
Named Nathan Henderson. And don't worry, guys, I, of course, will have a graphic for you at the end so you can screenshot and save it and study it, and it will look really clean, because it's very significant that you know these names. Because when I learned that Nathan Henderson was the co-founder, I suddenly realized that there was a weird crossover, because I had looked into Zachariah Qureshi, and I remembered the name Nathan Henderson living in the same house as him. Like, they were all living in the same house down in Keller, Texas, both the Henderson family and the Qureshi family. Now, it's possible the business owned the company, something, vacation rental. I don't know. I mean, they do live in Texas. It's also possible maybe the Hendersons sold the house to the Quereshis or vice versa. But what is not up for debate is that both families were living in the same house down in Keller, Texas. And that Nathan Henderson, the co-founder, is married to a woman named Gina Romney. Okay? Gina Romney Henderson is relevant because she too works at the Built Corporation. She's the vice president of their user experience. You can see that here on her LinkedIn. And they also have a son, a young man named Connor Henderson. Connor went to the same school at the same time as Zachariah Qureshi's.
So I just want you to take this in and take a good look at this individual right here. And when you're looking at this person, is this going to let me zoom in? I'm going to have this same issue that someone had looking at my video the other day. They were like, how can I not zoom? I'm like, I don't know how you can't zoom. I don't even know how to. Oh, there we go. Look at that ear right there. Okay, that's it. Hold, please. Just kidding. Off hold.
So their sons go to school together. To put it to you another way, the co-founders of the Built company, who lived in the same house and work at the same place, also sent their sons to the same school at the same time, BYU. Okay? They graduated within a year of one another. And their sons both interned at the Built company. Now, my suspicion is that Connor and Zachariah probably know each other, and you're never going to guess where Connor was working this summer, right? Connor had been working as an emergency room department scribe. I can confirm. Go ahead. Timpanogos emergency room. Okay, now, in case you are unaware of what an emergency room scribe does, they are essentially the physician's personal assistant in charge of taking notes and handling the charting and clerical work for the doctors in that emergency setting. That was Connor's job from 2024 until and that's only if his LinkedIn is to be believed, just before Charlie's assassination, or maybe even just after Charlie's assassination. I'm wondering if he actually quit on September 10th. I'm wondering if he was working beneath Dr. Lee Trotter. It's a lead that should be pursued. Anyway, it's time to show you guys a nice, clean chart since we are pulling together a lot of new names. It will help you visually see these connections to the Built Corporation, Built Incorporated, pardon.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right here on this chart. And I will link this in the bio or the bio. What am I talking about? I will link it in my bio. Like this is a LinkedIn. No, I will link it in the video description when I go and do the timestamps. And the thing that made me start looking into this apparatus again in this part of it is because of the 4 people that were suspect and apprehended. And also, when you look at the address of Unit 73, where allegedly Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs both resided in St. George, Utah, you notice that the people that lived in Unit 73, that's on the affidavit and everything else, does not pull to those 2 individuals. But the individuals that you notice come up are also in this same intelligence orbit, government intelligence orbit for the most part. And that made my brain go a lot of different ways. And also the way that this seemed to be something where the political narrative was immediate. And I'm not saying that that's not a given because Charlie Kirk spoke a lot about politics. But the thing is that politics was not the main part of his mission. You can go read the mission statement. It was about more free market, like people having more freedom from their government. And it was never about the deep state having more control or an apparatus over us as individuals. That's never been what he's been about. And he was also very clear in his interview with Tucker Carlson in July of 2025 when he spoke about the deep state and the Bolsheviks and how he was warning us that the Bolsheviks are coming. And I think that he knew because I think that the Bolsheviks had surrounded him for a long time. And I think that he was very aware how many people around him spoke Russian. I think he was very aware how many people had ties to the Levant around him, how many people were embedded in generations of deep state and intelligence and military around him. He was not an idiot. They may have thought he was an idiot. And he may have thought that they would let him do what he wanted. But I think he knew that was coming to an end. And maybe he also, instead of, and I did review this in my last video, but I think that there is a strong possibility that Charlie also may have worked in intelligence himself. Do I think that means he was a bad actor? No. But it is very uncommon, even if you are insanely important, to have a military detail take you out or transport you in the way that happened, especially on September 11th in America. A lot of military people saw that as bad taste and poor taste, and they were upset and disgusted by that. There are military members that are stuck without a military detail transporting them because of logistics being messed up, that lost their lives in battle or for our freedom on foreign soil. Like they signed up to do that. And that was something that was just so insane, especially on September 11th. And Charlie really wanted to go to West Point. And Charlie kept having these people surrounding him. And I think they thought that he would just stay a certain size until he did not stay a certain size anymore. And then he became a threat because he could not essentially be bought anymore. He didn't need their money. He didn't want their money. He knew the price of the money. I mean, could you imagine being a producer of his show right now and being under that pressure? Like, I feel bad for them, but that's what you get for having a price. It's what you get for saying that you are not an employee of Turning Point USA, when Turning Point USA and Erica Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, hold the patents, and Salem Media is just the syndicate of the Charlie Kirk Show. The brand is a part of Turning Point USA. You can't say that. You can't have secondary plausible deniability because you want to be able to go rogue when you want through your contract with ATK or Resolute Media. Like, you just want that to protect yourselves from the people that you pay as influencers to attack people on the internet, or to get people to attack other people on the internet so then they can block them, and then people only see one narrative because your bots and your bot farming is no longer working. And that's disgusting. That's disgusting. I think Charlie Kirk was, I see this comment right here. Charlie Kirk was pushed into the limelight in my opinion, the 2016 election. And I think a big part of that were a few scandals that were going on. Why can I not remember this guy's name off the top of my head? Is it Roger Stone? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is Roger Stone. And I think Barron touched base on this the other day. But I bought his book. Roger Stone could no longer be the person pushing some of those narratives when he had a scandal. And all of those people that are pushing these narratives surround themselves with Charlie. And Charlie already had a very successful political orbit at that time. Campus reform and the Phillips version of it, nobody wants to listen to what, I mean, some people in LinkedIn, according to the comments on his father's LinkedIn, their kids think that they're famous because they know Cabot. I could not imagine listening to him and thinking that that is sincere. Could not imagine it. The things that he has said, he's weird. He's a weird guy. I mean, also, who gets a lip tattoo of pizza? And I'm not judging. I love pizza. Okay, I love pizza. Do I have a lip tattoo of pizza? Hell no. I do not have a tattoo on my lip of pizza after I've been on the Ellen DeGeneres show. It's like, how many of these people are going to continue to also have the Hollywood orbit that continues to be perpetuated? It's not like Andrew Colvett has a new jawline and also married Nicola Bedingfield. It's not like someone was living in New York and LA doing France Bay management, consulting, whatever you want to call it, agency for certain things. It's not like we have all of these people continuing to want to be in front of the camera. You can look at the original videos of Charlie Kirk in front of the camera, and he is not full of himself. He's full of his beliefs, and he feels not invigorated. He feels inspired by them, and that's how he wants to serve the country. He doesn't want to stare at himself on a screen. Most people, unless you're doing an ad and you want to stare at yourself in the screen for hours, want to stare at themselves on the screen. I hate seeing my little head on this screen. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Oh, Seaside, also no disrespect at all. I'm taking it as you thought I was mature. It's not like you said 50. I like even numbers anyways. That's Marsh's way of saying, get back to the subject, as he zooms out and then back in on my face. Is that what you're saying, Marsh? That's funny. That is funny. And Ben Carson is also very big in the orbit of those people and the Millennium Marketing and the Enron company and the Bush orbit and the Koch Foundation that Cabot's father was very big on, that he had to resign from Americans for Prosperity, whatever it was, because he was president, because of a public affair. But I tell you, the conservative orbit is a very interesting orbit of people. They expect women to not go to yoga class and to be moms, but to also be able to run a very crazy nonprofit organization that they did not do the day-to-day of. And a lot of people have a lot of divorces in this orbit. And I'm not saying that's bad, but it's just, it tells me that these people also, A, either jump into things insanely fast, or B, make bad decisions over and over. Like, for you to have multiple divorces, yeah, some people could have bad luck, but also you're making bad choices and you're not vetting your life decisions well if you have multiple divorces in that way. And you are not a good judge of character if you're marrying someone or jumping into a marriage that you feel like you need to annul. Like, you should never do something like that. That's one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make in your life. And you should love your spouse and you should want to work towards a resolution. Like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy. You can't just, the same thing though with the way that they treat other people. They don't want a resolution. They just want to yell about it. And it seems to me that it's a lot of self-projection in the MAGA movement right now, yelling about the left over and over and over again and not doing anything. It's all whining. It's all lazy. It's all a bunch of ex-posts. It's all a bunch of crying about someone else talking about something that you don't want them to talk about instead of you doing your damn job. And it's pathetic. It's disgusting. And I don't think that my tax dollars, because I'm also an Indiana resident where this nonprofit entity is shielded in to protect them from political donations and disclosure, should be allowed to be shielded in my state as a harbor. And I think that that's gross. You're in Arizona, so be in Arizona. Stop trying to buy Indiana politicians. Stop being focused in Indiana elections. Because when I look at the way that people voted this week, a lot of Indiana politicians voted a certain way on something that I was very upset with, because I feel like they have a really big donor in Arizona. And it's disgusting. And it's all fake anyways, but it's also just gross. Okay. Getting back to business, because Marsh is like yelling at me. Just kidding. I bet he fell asleep. I think my husband fell asleep too, because I still don't have chicken nuggets. I wonder what he did with them.
So you can see this also. I should mention Gina Romney also went to BYU. BYU keeps coming up, and I'm about to drop some bombshells for you about BYU's connection to Israel in particular. Anyways, do you know what regarding Miss Gina Romney? I have to tell you guys, that is the third time in this investigation that the Romney name has come up. I hadn't spoken about it before because I just thought, well, it's the Romney family. They're big in Utah. That's not that weird, until I realized how close Mitt Romney was to Bibi Netanyahu. And I just found myself wondering, if they talked about Charlie at all. After he was really frustrated with Charlie over the Iran war, I found myself wondering. And then I realized that all of these connections to the Romney, I should probably share with you. And this very weird connection to BYU in particular. So we have the Quereshis, the Hendersons that are coming out of Texas. Our planes are coming out of Texas. So did, I should mention, and here's where it gets interesting, our brand spanking new CEO of Timpanogos. Don't think I forgot about Andrew Zenger. Remember, he was appointed the CEO of Timpanogos just ahead of Charlie's assassination. It was August 19th. And curiously enough, before that, he was down in Texas. He had previously been working down in McKinney, Texas.
I also want to fully note here, it's really interesting how a lot of these people, I know people don't like that word. I don't care. I think it is interesting. So if you don't think it's interesting, get well soon. But you see the same thing from Arizona to Utah. So Jerry Twiggs, the pediatrician in St. George, that was like the first pediatrician in that area, actually used to practice in Arizona before he moved to St. George. And he's from Idaho, but he moved to Arizona and practiced and did some investigations on some cases, some abuse cases that are in newspaper clippings. And I did cover that in the one of the Lance videos that I've done. But it's really bizarre to me that he just goes to St. George and then also has an agreement with the government for some certain testing. And it doesn't look like they were actually selected for the testing, but it makes sense when your father was a very important politician from Idaho for over a decade. And you see the same thing over and over again. It's just really bizarre, especially with the data and who owns property in certain areas and different things. They just keep going to the same places over and over again. And I don't know about you guys. I love my friends, love them to death. I have like 5, but I love them. And it's because I love to pour everything I have into the people that I care about. But I will say, am I going to move somewhere just because my friend moves somewhere? Hell no. Do I love my friends? Yeah, I'll go visit them. But I'm not going to move somewhere just because my friend moves somewhere or my friend tells me it's great. Like, I have to think it's great. And for you to move to Arizona from the Midwest, you have to be compelled. Qureshi's a little bit different in this other apparatus because they were raised in the Middle East. But I'm just saying, if you're from the Midwest and you're going to Arizona, it's literally a hell desert in the summer. So yeah, it's crazy. The chicken mutilator intercepted those nuggets. I know, Guy Blunt. I actually was calling my husband. I'm sure he still is asleep. I was calling. He hasn't moved a minute. I need chicken nuggets. SOS. I called him. I heard him answer, and then I hung up thinking it would wake him up. He did not wake up, apparently. But me talking while Candace is frozen like that is hilarious. It's like she's Graham Allen on the Twitter. On the Twitter, she's Graham Allen. I'm joking. She's not. She is not Graham Allen. I cannot stand him so much. Can't stand him. You know where his LLCs are registered and his nonprofits? And he changed the name of one of them to like a donut thing, which is really interesting with police officers. Texas. The Twigs also just moved to Texas and started a nonprofit charity focused on families as well. I will say, full disclosure, speaking of that as well, I'm doing an overview of the Twigs on the need to know or the important things. I do not think some of the things that they have done prove that they came into a ton of money. I do think the things with the home in Utah that I covered, and I do believe is pinned on the top of my X profile still, maybe not, does show maybe some money, like award money. But Amy, I believe it's more of an intelligence world or something. The vacations have always pretty much been cruises that were gifted through the MLMs that she participates in for recruitment of other people. So I don't necessarily think that means she's coming into a lot of money. I will say she does have a picture with a Chanel purse recently and Chanel shoes that she's matching with a friend. And the purse is very expensive, but she's not paying for those vacations. Those are gifted. And the other vacations that they've been on, I think the craziest one was like the Virgin Islands. Her brother is a missionary in the Virgin Islands. And then Mexico, it didn't look like a crazy one. They have a set of parents that have a condo in Hawaii. So I think they've been to Hawaii like once or twice. Again, the most expensive part of going to Hawaii for the most part is gonna be your room. So I don't believe that they're gallivanting across the world. I will say they have gone to 2 other places in the midst of it, but they weren't crazy places. It was like Canada. And I think that I would probably travel if I knew that the case was coming up and my son's recorded testimony was going to be played in front of the world. And I would probably try to not be home because people are going to know. Those pictures were published in the news, and I think it's very clear what was going on there. They moved there. I don't know why you'd move to Texas and then have LLCs named after your street. Yeah, doxing yourself. Get well soon. But I also don't know why you just move to Texas and still keep your old house. Like, you're just going to move away. It's the most high profile thing ever in my lifetime that has continued to be talked about, that would focus on 1 to 2 people. And you're going to move away. Is it because your son was given a choice of, hey, we set both of you up as a backup plan and your son can either choose to comply and prove the guilt of someone else or can spend the rest of his life in prison? Because I've thought about that a lot. And I think that that's quite possible as well. Because it doesn't make sense. The Discord things that have been put out by everyone other than Ken Klippenstein, the original ones, were fake. They were not real Discords. Discord does not go the opposite way. Discord goes in order. And they were all about weird things. It was about furries. It was about the same things that the MAGA movement and the left was being yelled about doing. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of those people that are addicted to their computer screens, like Charles the 12th, is not coming out from behind his computer screen unless it's in an X space, which is also behind a freaking screen. I'm yelling. I'm losing my voice. And my husband's still asleep without chicken nuggets. I'm going to have to go get my own chicken nuggets after this. But I think most parents would make their child, especially if they worked in the intelligence world, would make their child comply with that. Because of the fear. Fear works. Fear is why we were in the Middle East so long. But fear is a facade. I was going to say facade to be funny because that's how I used to say it. But there is no such thing as safety. Like, none of us are getting out of here alive. And there's always going to be vulnerabilities in everything that you do in all of your safety. So making decisions based on fear is the dumbest thing that you can do. Because it's fake. Just like Andrew Colvit's jawline. But that's a whole nother story. Okay, moving back. Well, I see if chicken nuggets are on the way.
As the COO of Medical City, which is north of Dallas. Oh, everyone just, I know Texas is big, but man, yanked and brought back up there. Yeah, that's what they did. Just like I said, ahead of September 10th. Now, of course, Andrew Zenger, just like Qureshi and Henderson and our Gina Romney, he attended BYU. And it really made me wonder, like, what the heck goes on at BYU? And fortunately, someone told me. Again, I am not saying allegedly here. So you can take this to the bank. BYU has direct ties to the CIA. They recruit directly from BYU. And I am saying this with 100% certainty. It is not a conspiracy. And what is even more odd is that they recruit specifically from BYU Jerusalem in Israel, which is exactly where Andrew Zenger attended school. He lived in Jerusalem, and I'm now going to tell you that BYU, the Jerusalem Center, this person told me, is where the elite of the Mormon culture, the cream of the pie, they get introduced to one another. It's where the elite Mormon youth are introduced to also the Knesset, okay? Hollywood culture, political culture, and where many of them are then approached in Jerusalem, Israel, by their teachers, who I should mention, the director of the program is Israeli, to work for the CIA. Could you imagine being approached to work for the CIA in Jerusalem by Israelis? Notice, again, I am not saying allegedly here. I know this for a fact. I cannot be sued for this. This is factual. Andrew Zenger was out there, and he was out there, I should mention, during Mitt Romney presidential election season. He was also good friends with a guy named Jeffrey Knuckles, who was out there as well, who later served as an advisor to the Romney campaign. He was also friendly, and a person that was out there was a guy named Caleb Cunningham, who was also an activist that worked for the campaign. Him, Caleb, and his brother were actually out there in Jerusalem. I want to, again, make it clear, I am not shooting in the dark with this. In fact, I can tell you specifically what the name is of the company that the CIA uses to bring some of this youth talent on board. They specifically use a company, and this will trigger them if they're watching, called Metro One Talent. Metro One Talent. That's how they interview their talent and set them on the path to joining the CIA. The question is, was Andrew Zenger recruited?
So that's a really good question when you're thinking about it. And it's really interesting when you think about the fact that both Ahmed Qureshi and Juliet Qureshi were over in BYU, Jerusalem, and that we have an aunt that is also working in the State Department, and that we have both Zachariah Qureshi going to school allegedly in Jordan, but visiting the Knesset and having a sister that was over there when his parents were in school there. And Jordan being this reoccurring theme that's right next door, kind of like Egypt. It's right next door. And it's bizarre to me because it just continues. It's like, why does this intelligence pipeline continue to keep showing up over and over and over again? It's weird. This is the trick, though, that I think they have went with. And the reason I think that they've went with this is because they want people to go crazy on their own, because it seems so crazy and the web is so big. And I think that's how a lot of intelligence apparatuses work, because they don't want you to actually get to the bottom of everything. They want you to talk about, are Erica Kirk's eyes blue or brown? They want you to talk about, oh, her birthday's listed as this here and this here. They don't want you to follow the documented trails. They don't want you to follow the education trails. They don't want you to follow the business trails. They don't want you to follow the things that will lead to actual convictions or that have actual metadata that cannot be altered unless you know someone in Arizona and can have your business filings taken off of the Secretary of State website. But I think you'd have to know a lot of people to get that done. I could never get that done, but I hear some people can. I did want to mention, because we have Mona Qureshi, and this is the role that she has with the State Department. This is the job description on the state.gov website for the careers of the Diplomatic Security Service Special Agent. And it's diplomats who are sworn federal law enforcement officers combining expertise in security with foreign service responsibilities. Mona Qureshi, Zachariah Qureshi's auntie, overseas DSS special agents advise U.S. ambassadors on all security matters and manage a complex range of security programs designed to protect personnel, facilities, and information. Domestically, DSS special agents protect the U.S. Secretary of State and visiting foreign dignitaries and conduct transnational investigations, like those Israeli cell phones, huh? that involve passport and visa fraud. So DSS special agents, we needed one of those with those fake passports in New York City from Jeffrey. Also lead a wide variety of global programs from physical security risk management, emergency and operational planning, threat analysis, advanced tactical operations. Nothing like what happened at EVU, right? Security coordination for major international events, cyber investigations, and liaison to interagency partners. So we don't know, but we know that that's weird. I also wanted to mention the Family Jewels situation was going on around the same time. You can look up some of these contracts. Barron summarized it very well. And I think there's a clip. I needed to find it, but I didn't find it in time as I was prepping of him going over it, not just the clip that Candace had on there. But you can go and look at these contracts, and they're very interesting when you think about the patents that other people are holding in this orbit and the first company that he helped found. And I found that weird because it's like that whole apparatus of security, not in an EMP way, but in the way of like chain of command and all of that. And there's another company that I've been hunting down that was a software company that essentially was sold, that was a payment software for oil companies, by the way. And they've tried to cover it up pretty well. And they've had a few name changes. But you can't keep it from me, just like Lance Twig's grandpa's LLCs in tactical and weaponry. Interesting guy, pediatrician with the ATF level 1 FFL, whatever you call it. I don't know why that sounds like Fight Club to me. I don't even know what Fight Club is. I can't even watch one of those fights because it makes me sad to see people punching each other. I really get, that probably sounded horrible on the microphone. I'm going to hate re-listening to that if that hurt your ears. But it makes me sick to my stomach to see people love fights. I don't know what it is. I think I like the amount of humanity I have in me, but I just can't look. I can't look. I have a friend that her brother fought, and I just never understood it. Fight Club is not the same as UFC. Either way, anybody's fighting. My sister used to beat the crap out of me, and I would just sit there and take it. I'd be like, okay. Treason is very hard to Why did that come back up? I don't know what it did. Treason. Why is this happening? Marsh keeps clicking on that. Treason is very hard to try someone with because you have to be, from what I understand, they have to be like on the terrorist list, or you have to be in a declared war with them. So even in the Cold War, the individuals that were caught spying were not considered, or they could not be tried with treason. And the reason being is they wrote it so like the government could not be weaponized against others, but it just depends on who's in charge, and they do that obviously. But treason was seen as a very serious thing. Now they just hide it through like the stock market and everything else, and their buddies, and yelling about China and Russia. That's what they do. That's what they do. It's not like it's their job to have efficient systems for voting and everything else on how they spend our money, right? It's not like it's their job in the federal government to make sure that we have efficient immigration, efficient voting, efficient medical care, efficient checks and balances. It's all China for having public data. You can go look what you're registered to vote with, bro. It's disgusting. It's not okay. It's public information. It's public information. People are signing up for sites. People are using different things. You can't yell about China for everything. Can't yell about China. I can't even say it. You can't. The number one rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. That's all I know. All I know is my stomach's eating itself because I don't have chicken nuggets. I'm sure I'll get comments later. How dare you talk about chicken nuggets so much? Well, I'm sorry that you don't like fun stuff and things. um, so I always think of WWE with Hogan, Ben Hogan, Twigs, if you go back and look at that. But Hulk Hogan always comes up. So that makes me laugh seeing randomly Tiffany's chat in the comments. This is one of the articles talking about the technologies group as well. And I have it. This is just me skimming through it so that you can see it real quick. And then I did want to play Call Me TR because I've eaten chicken nuggets every day. We don't know he ate chicken nuggets. He could have gotten one of those sandwiches. I hated, I used to work at an education facility. So I actually know how annoying it is to eat at a Chick-fil-A when you're not a student. And it is annoying because you have to go pay with a card, or you have to have a meal plan, and you have to park, and we have one in a small college in my hometown, and nobody eats there, even though it's a Chick-fil-A, and I would have loved to, but it's so annoying to do it, even in a small college. So for you to eat at a Chick-fil-A on campus when there's a Chick-fil-A off campus, when you're trying to be incognito, is so fake and silly in the narrative that we're being told. It's so weird. Like, how many kids want to be uncomfortable? He likes playing Magic the Gathering and doesn't feel comfortable talking to the officer when the person that he got in a wreck with is around him, but he's going to go commit a horrible crime and eat at Chick-fil-A on campus right after he meets with a representative from the organization that he's going to commit the crime against. What in the Jack Posobiec is that? That sounds like a Jack Posobiec narrative that he came up with for primaries. All I'm saying is the CIA really needs to improve, especially with AI and everything, because if this is what we're paying for, I don't want to know that it's happening. I don't want to know. I do not want to know. And it should be so good that I don't know. That's kind of the point of an intelligence apparatus. You're not intelligent if you can't do that. You're not intelligent if you can't keep people off the internet tweeting false things. And also, the intelligent thing to do is to use the resources you have for things that should be done. Not this. This is actually the opposite of what an intelligence apparatus should be doing. It's the lowest IQ thing ever. Okay. I think this will show. Okay, hold on. Share this tab. I think this will play this part that's kind of important.
You do the best you can at the moment with what knowledge, information, and resources you have. So it's always easy to second guess and go, oh, I wish I'd done this or done that. But I tell you, again, you do the best you can in the moment. You can get a capital partner on early enough if you need the capital and get the right people in place early on. I mean, that's always the dream, right? But again, sometimes you're left with whatever resources you have financially and individually as well. So you do the best you can with what you got.
Welcome to In the Thick of It. I'm your host, Scott Hallrow. On this episode of In the Thick of It, I'm joined by Ahmed Qureshi, co-founder, president, and COO of Built, a revolutionary app utilizing 3D technology to deliver interactive and immersive environments to users. Built's goal is to help companies put their products in the hands of customers through a digital format. Ahmed shares life before launching his business, including stories of his childhood in Saudi Arabia, majoring in Middle East studies at BYU, and helping Papa John's expand internationally, all while serving his country in the reserves. Ahmed highlights the importance of collaboration and the significance of having the right capital partnerships in a startup's early journey. Today, Ahmed finds inspiration in witnessing the awe and excitement from clients when using the Built app. But getting the startup to where it is today didn't come without its sacrifices and major responsibilities. Joining me in the studio today is Ahmed Qureshi. Thank you so much. There's a short drive getting over here. You're a local. It's always nice to have people in person. So thanks for coming in.
Scott, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. We're only about 3 miles apart. So
yeah.
Easy drive.
That's great. Well, we'll get into Built and what y'all are doing there, but want to kind of start much earlier in life and kind of just talk about your journey along the way growing up as a kid. Where did you spend your time? Where did you guys live?
I was born in Colorado. Both my parents were immigrants. My dad born in India, my mom in Norway, and they
Okay, I also feel like it's very relevant that he says he was born in Colorado, and he's about to expand on that more. But I did want to mention the one meeting that Charlie went to with, I believe it was the Air Force, was in Colorado 1 month before the events of September 10th, 2025, around 1 month before, when he spoke at the meeting to the board of the Air Force Academy. I'm not saying the correct term of this right. He's all throughout the minutes. He's doing honestly, he's doing more than what most board members would do, and he's taking it very seriously. But I did find it really interesting because Erica Franzwe at the time lived in Colorado. We have Victor Marx in Colorado. Colorado is known for a lot of interesting things, not just their horrible airport. I do see someone asking if I have a Venmo. I do, and I'll put up the banner. I'm going to put this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to be right back to use the bathroom to wrap all this up. But I'm going to put this bigger, more big. I don't think bigger is even a word. Can you guys tell I can't read and write? I don't know where the Venmo thing's at. Marsh! I don't know how to do it. It's in my bio, I think. I don't know how to do the thing. If Marsh falls ever, but I don't know how to do that. All right. Okay. I am going to make this bigger. I don't know how to put the Venmo thing up there. Marsh might have fell asleep. I'm about to go to bed in a second. 1 minute. How do I make me go away? And I'm doing it this way because I lost this part of the recording in my presentation somehow.
Came to school in the United States, and they had me, and we were living in Colorado. And this was the late 70s, and my dad was an engineer. And he felt the beck and call to go overseas and was recruited by the Arabian American Oil Company, Aramco. Today it's called Saudi Aramco. And it was just an unbelievable opportunity for him as a young engineer to go work on the best funded oil and gas projects in the world. And they were on a major hiring opportunity for people to come and join the company and build up the infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. So myself and even my business partner, Nate Henderson, we met there in 1978. We've known each other that long. We both grew up there while our fathers worked for Aramco.
Wow. We talked a few weeks back and you had a partner, knew you had known each other a long time. I didn't realize it went back that far.
Yeah. Elementary school, intermediate school, junior high, a little bit of break. We both went off to boarding school. He went to Tennessee. I went to Culver Military Academy outside of Chicago, northern Indiana for a couple of years. And then we both served 2-year missions for our church. I went to Toronto, Canada. He went to Mexico, Chihuahua. And then we both ended up back at BYU, undergrad at BYU, a short break. And then we both ended up doing our MBAs together at the Thunderbird School of Global Management in Arizona.
So you've spent most of your life together.
We've known each other for a while. He is twin brother, and he has a brother who's my age. We're actually about a year apart. And so he's big family. So yeah, I've been around him and his family most of my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Good portion of it.
Well, so I'm sorry, tell me again, how long did you spend in Saudi Arabia?
My family overall was there over 30 years, but I was only there for about the first 9.5, 10 years.
Okay. And I mean, Colorado, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I mean, just a little different. What was that adjustment like for you?
I remember the day we landed in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. I mean, I can still remember we got off the plane. We landed in Dhahran. Actually, I remember leaving Colorado, my house, 1977, going to Denver Airport, the old Stapleton Airport. I think we flew to New York, then to Paris, and then we flew into Dhahran. It was nighttime, and I just remember the blast coming out of the airplane, going down those old stairs, warm air. And it was the first time I'd ever felt something like that. And people were speaking Arabic, and I'm staring around everywhere. It was such an interesting experience as a kid.
He says interesting too. Oh, Marsh is up. He put the Venmo up. That's because someone asked, not because I expect that, by the way. But I do drink a lot of caffeine to do research. So, okay. So he's going to Saudi Arabia. His dad was recruited to be an engineer for the oil company. We have another engineer in this orbit. And it is, does anyone know the name? Does anyone know the name of the other engineer? It's Lawrence Ginta. The same guy that was arrested at one point in his youth for an interesting charge. But it is what it is. So I'm going to finish this part here. Tiffany, thank you, Tiffany. What did Tiffany say? Oh. Stapleton closed in 1994. I live in Denver. Yeah, it's weird because they met in the 70s there. So he moved from Colorado in the 70s. I think he was born in Colorado, moved in the 70s. And he talks about that here too. And that'll be the last part of play of that to wrap up the last things and give it an ending to go to bed.
I was 6.5, not quite 7 yet. And I vividly remember it to this day.
I bet. So what was life like living in Saudi Arabia at that time?
At that time, it was, we didn't have the internet. It cost, $1 million a minute on a phone to call overseas. I mean, it was just very expensive. So we were pretty much cut off from our families, whether you lived in Europe, Asia, or wherever you came from, the United States. You went over there and you were there, and then you wrote letters. Every now and then you might make a phone call. But at that time, Saudi Arabia was on the cusp of exploding its oil and gas infrastructure. And so we were really there at a very interesting time where we had a peek into the old Saudi Arabia still, what it was like decades before us, and a massive modernization period that was taking place. And it was really, actually, as a kid, it was a very interesting time to be there. It was fun. They were quickly trying to build housing for us to live in. We first lived in some older home for a few days, and then we moved into a trailer. I think we lived there 6 or 7 months in a trailer. And then all of a sudden there was a new neighborhood inside of Dhahran that they were putting families into. And it was on the edge of the desert. There was no grass, no trees. And, I remember we used to, bye mom, after school, we're going off to explore in the desert. She goes, take your pocket knife, make sure you have water, and watch out for the wild dogs, because there were wild dogs running around. I don't know why they were there, who let them loose, but we would just go explore in the desert. I mean, the stuff we found.
They're just exploring in the desert, and there are wild dogs just running around. It's not those freaking dingoes, though. If you guys like documentaries, there's a documentary about the dingoes and the kangaroos in Australia. And it is the most, it's one of my favorite documentaries that I've ever watched. But those damn dingoes piss me off every time. Every time. I hate a dingo. I hate a wild dog. So getting back to the business, we have, if you guys could hear my dogs earlier, that was my fault because I woke up my husband to get me chicken nuggets. I know, I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible person because I wanted to be a chicken nugget mutilator. So today we talked about and reviewed some of the information that has already been presented, but expanded on it just a teeny weeny bit. Because BYU Jerusalem is known for the intelligence apparatus. The Mormon community, the Latter-day Saint community, is known for being an excuse for missionaries to be used and utilized by our government and by our intelligence agencies. Not just the CIA, the FBI is listed in some of those articles as well. And we have both of Zachariah Qureshi's parents going to BYU Jerusalem for a trip for their education, for her master's degree. And she's also working in the media before Built becomes a thing. Not only that, but who funded the software that he originally created? You would probably be intrigued to know that there's an interesting last name that keeps coming up. And I do want to make sure that the last name is the same as the other person that I do believe they are related to. That is well known for this story and certain threats or things, or a financial apparatus that is no longer allowed in the United States of America, but did have a very big compound and house in Arizona. A French investor of some sorts with a last name. So, Zachariah Qureshi is probably the most interesting person that has been apprehended in this case. Do I think Tyler Robinson is the most interesting person that's been apprehended in this case? No, not at all. I think that he's a normal Joe that was friggin' being an electrician. Or he was working in intelligence as well. He's in the same orbit. When you're in intelligence, you take orders. You do what you are told. Is someone who serves in the military a murderer because they're given an order to take someone out? I don't know. I could look at that so many ways. You can look at Oswald and see all of the intelligence things that he had in his wallet in the way that that investigation was handled. And it was pretty clear what was going on there. Things got out of hand. They needed a fall guy. It's not weird at all. Well, but they have loopholes to someone saying, depends. Unlawful orders are illegal to follow. Well, the law is very confusing in a lot of places. And if you are deemed or listed as a threat to your country, that is a very big loophole in that law. Even if it should be illegal in all instances, that doesn't mean that it is, sadly. Oh, if you go to Lisa, I see your comment. If you go to my channel and you go to the link on under my name, hold on my channel, if you go to the Buy Me a Coffee link there, don't click on the Buy Me a Coffee. There's 3 more links and it has all 4 of them listed. My Venmo is listed up there as well. Very intentionally confusing. I'm confusing. I'm joking. If I am, I'm sorry. I'm trying to improve. I know that I'm not for everyone. I'm acquired taste. I will, however, not be the Dasani of research. I hate Dasani with passion. Dasani's trash, but I prefer to be the San Pellegrino of research. It's much better than goat water. San Pellegrino is what fuels my life and my burps. I know that I can be a little bit confusing now, so I get it. I confuse myself sometimes. I like to be confused sometimes. Sometimes I have my best thoughts when I'm confused, actually. The most clarity after being confused for a while. Because you're just you're like, what is going on with this puzzle? Except with card games, I always black out. Don't ask me to play poker. Don't ask me to play euchre. I've tried, I don't know how many times to learn. It's not happening. It is not going to happen. I used to volunteer all the time with the elderly. In a few things that I was in college, and I loved it. I actually would go like twice a week. I was very involved in student voluntary services, and they would get so mad at me. I just could not do it. It was like worse than going to the bar and drinking like 4 pitchers of alcohol straight. I just black out. I have no idea what's going on. I'm like a deer in a headlight situation. I don't even know. I don't know. I wish I knew. I feel like a Joe when I try to play cards. Sorry that was confusing. I don't get on my phone a lot with YouTube, so I do agree. And also using it on your phone so hard because I try to like, if I'm trying to tag anyone back or anything in the comments, it's so difficult if I take a break from something in the middle of the day and I try to access it on my phone. Thank you. Yeah, I try to not be like a Joe, but I do think we could all utilize logic in the logic book in different ways. We can all always be more logical. I like to be not logical at all, though. That's the type of logic I like. Well, here and there. I like to be very impractical because I'm married to a very logical person. So, yeah, I don't know. I get to be impractical because he's practical. So, I am who I am. I'm like Eminem. I am whoever I say I am. I love that song. Okay. Logic can be logical though, because like nothing makes sense really in this. I mean, most of it's all. I feel like you have to be illogical to be able to understand and to seek to understand because understanding is so illogical most of the time because most people are only working on their own it's kind of weird. I don't know. I'm getting like I feel like I'm in my ethics class in college where there is no answer to anything. But I am very illogical based. I can't talk. Okay. Getting back to the end of Qureshi. So, Thunderbird University is at Arizona State University. These contracts, I already pulled some of these up. I did blur out the address because I didn't want that to be a big thing up in your face. But they got some awards going on. First award in 2020, according to this website as well. And over the course of this time, they're up to $8.7 million. That's interesting. And then this is the article of the first company, Harbinger Technologies Group. They do have a Harbinger Technologies Group University as well. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? On the Wayback Machine. Don't worry, you can delete it. I already got it. This is an article about BYU Jerusalem as well. And this is Juliet Qureshi. I was so lucky to have studied abroad in London and Jerusalem through Brigham Young University. Juliet Qureshi, VP and PR Media Comms at Built Incorporated, posted on LinkedIn. Those experiences, plus an 18-month church mission to Ottawa and Montreal, Canada, were formative in my life. I'm still touched with at least 50 study abroad friends and just had a reunion with my London friends in 1990. In London, what accent do we keep having? What accent is that? Is it kind of like New Zealand or British? Kind of like where the Bedingfield family parents are from? Huh. What do you know? No. So you could see these things, the news, being in this area, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, Arizona, with the associate producer. Maybe Andrew could take some classes from her because she seemed to be pretty successful in the media world and support her family instead of burning a company to the ground. But this is Zachariah Qureshi's mother. the master's degree in BYU Jerusalem for the Near East Studies for 6 months, and her thesis is in the freedom of the press in East Jerusalem. And the freedom of the press is pretty wild there right now. So she was aware of what was going on, which is sad, especially because she married into a family from the Levant. So, also studying abroad in London. So I did want to mention she is from Arizona. Her father is a prominent Maricopa County prosecutor. So, her father, Dennis, is also born in Idaho, kind of like the Senator Twiggs, Lance Twiggs' great grandpa in Idaho. He passes away in Mesa, Arizona, and it has Ahmed and Juliette Qureshi listed in this biography. I did want to mention I have been digging into this. Snowden is a last name that came up through this. So it's not weird at all, right? Snowden, a graduate from Brigham Young University and the University of Arizona Law School. Dennis was a successful lawyer for 36 years. Highlights were service as a Maricopa County prosecutor in partnership. Okay. Also in the Mesa, he was representing the Mesa and Gilbert public school districts. He also served his country in the United States Army, and he had an honorable discharge in 1963. He was a bishop and missionary at the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, including full-time missions in England. In England, as a young man, and in Hawaii. I love Hawaii. And New York, after he retired. He liked golf. I wonder if that's where Ben Hogan Twiggs got his inspiration of the name from. And then, there's a lot of other stuff. That's boring stuff. And the family was into acting. Playing orphan roles will be Tammy, Molly, Lynette, Kate, Bridget Blackhurst. That is Zach Qureshi's mother's maiden name. And a sister was also in here, Juliette. The one that I believe Juliette is Zachariah Qureshi's mom. Bridget, I think, is the one that marries a Snowden. I've been saying that wrong. Whoopsies. I messed that up. But this article is interesting because I think over 100, if I'm going to find it right, over a crap ton of people auditioned. Yeah. It was one of the largest casting turnouts for the Mesa Music Theater. 108 girls auditioned for these 6 orphan roles, and 60 to 70 adults tried out for the remaining parts. So over 100 people, and the 2 Blackhurst girls are getting a role as the orphans. One of them being Zachariah Qureshi's mother. I mean, she seems to be a better actor because she's also staying out of the spotlight, Some of these other people, they're like, ooh, let me stay in the spotlight. I'm not good at it, but let me stay. Let me stay forever. And that's when we say, nay, do not stay. This is the article about the co-founder of the company, President Ahmed Qureshi, company founder and former intelligence officer. His LinkedIn doesn't say former intelligence officer. Does it? Maybe because he's not full-time. That is plausible deniability if you're contracted as well, or just a producer of the show. So the Herringmer's suite of technical products solves major national security challenges by extracting and validating intelligence derived from foreign languages. The commercial application of the software supports economic growth for Axiom's clients by allowing them to access a single worldwide platform from which to launch customer recognition applications with speed and accuracy hereforth unavailable. Axiom and Harbinger have been working together for more than a year, assisting the intelligence community and federal law enforcement agencies by applying the best commercially available technologies to the challenge of identity resolution. That is such an interesting software to be the founder of. And right here, what we have are some gems that we will dig into at a later time. But I'm gonna say it wrong. Zachariah Qureshi is a man that has spent a lot of time in the Middle East. This is him with a mustache. You guys see that name right there? Stanley Black. That's Oman. And then here he's in, yeah, it's Oman because he's arguing Oman's a country. Here's him. I don't know what happened, but it's an interesting, very bizarre set of photos to choose and to post that one. I don't know if he got hurt in a fight, what it was, but my favorite comment is the evolution of the stash. Because the stash goes away. And I think I have it in the next one, the stash. But here's some other ones. Here's Qureshi Street, spelled without the I because it's spelled different. The streets out here really be having my name on them. He's so gangster, guys. So gangster. Gang, gang, as Theo Vaughn says. There he is in the Knesset. Hi, did he slip on some stairs? I don't know. Here's him missing Jerusalem. This is one of my faves. Missing Jerusalem at the Jaffa Gate. I'm saying that wrong. There he is with his BYU shirt. Zachariah Qureshi, missing Jerusalem in December of 2018. Huh. He did. I see this in the comments. He may have lost the stash to the fight, bro. I think it's quite possible. We go from this. It's like the Princess. Is it the Princess Diaries? We go from this to this. A princess. I don't know why I pictured that in my head. Like this to this. A princess. And the mustache falls off. I think he just couldn't compete with this bro's mustache. You know? You win some, you lose some. You win some. Is that beer? Well, that makes sense. Bro, that is beer, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe it's like incense. Maybe it's like some perfume. If that is beer, and that is, I mean, this isn't the Secret Life of Mormon lives. We're not out here. I thought you meant his blunt. Oh, no. I mean the username. I'm not talking about somebody. No, I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. But there he is with the stash. There he is without the stash. And this is just a serious incident we have going on here. And it makes me sad. This actually, I believe very firmly that eyes are the key into the soul, and that we should not look at eyes that feel wrong. But this whole thing, he's a cut on him, on the front of him. I mean, he's bloodied up. It makes me think of sometimes how concussions can really alter someone's brain. So I mean, we don't even know who treated him at this facility. We don't know if he was the same after this. He's got a lot from the Holy Land. He has a whole section of the Holy Land on here. So he does. Mount Herzl. There is the I don't want to say it. This is a seal of Solomon on that flag. All right. Here he is in the West Bank. 2018. 2018, he's up in the West Bank, the oldest city of the world, and his hat's backwards. And he does not have a mustache, everybody. The mustache is not there. We must ask him a question. But I did want to mention that those are in December of 2018. I believe I have this one made me laugh. Why you're jobless. This one was 9 weeks ago. Why you're jobless. The dead eyes are quite terrifying. And I've noticed that with all 4 of these people. And I think that the dead eyes are very prominent in the people that continue lying and shouting to the public, which makes me feel bad because I don't think necessarily they are aware fully of what they're doing. This is Zachariah Qureshi. What's the date of this? In October of 2025, posting this. Okay, so this is September, October, 1 month after September 10th, 2025. This is posted. I'm pretty sure these photos were before September. There he is. You can see him there. Take it all in because you're going to need this in a second. And this makes me very, very sad, actually. So this is his wife. She went to school in Jordan. They both went to school in Jordan. She went to a boarding school, an international boarding school in Jordan. American Community School, class of 2024. There's an age gap of these two. There is an age gap. And she still has sand in her shoes. The world's glitter. So this is Zachariah Qureshi's post telling us why you're still jobless. Also, he's a Yeezy fan. So yay, if you ever see this guy's a fan. He's a fan. LinkedIn said my repost doesn't qualify to be reposted. Read my article to find out why you can't get a job in this market and share it. Zach Qureshi, vertical AI for business. I'm going to read this. It's not super long, but the article I'm not going to read because it's okay. I think AI might have written it. I figured out why the economy sucks despite record growth. The top isn't taking from everybody beneath them. What's actually happening is worse. The middle top, whatever that is taking from everybody beneath and above them because they've built a successful business model in oligopoly. I don't think that's the right word to use there. Maybe I'm just too uneducated because I didn't go to an international boarding school or a boarding school like Zachariah Qureshi or his father. Where they make money losing everybody else's money by financing worthless companies. Isn't that kind of what a government contract is? Because, like, we wouldn't need a lot of those if we weren't in war. Huh. Elon Musk. This one made me shook that he put that. Ezra Klein and Richard Hanania are all right. American capitalism does have the ability to grow the pie for everybody and provide abundance, universal high income. I don't know which country he's talking about. Maybe the one he spent some time in. But we have to bust up the oligarchy first. I don't like oligarchy. I don't like that word. This is the link. Elon was right. Universal high income is coming. Read my article to find out why. Do you see the bone crushing thing? It literally says bone smashing the market. How a solo founder unicorn could fix capitalism by breaking it first. Also, guys, just so you know, he just started basically a capital fund type thing. Like, he basically is creating his own Bill Ackman type fund. So do with what you will, but it's a bone smashing by the market that he likes to talk about. This is his brother, and I did blur out his name because I don't think it's really appropriate for anyone to contact these people, but he is involved in intelligence, and he also has interned with Built, his father's company, Did want to mention quick Q Clean Power Wash Co. Thought this was a little bit of an interesting tidbit. Don't know if they have car washes, but I don't know if they know a guy at the Quick Crack, however you say that. Basic combat trainee from June 2021 to August 2021. He's the U.S. Army on here. Infantry in Texas. And I mean, present from January 2023. And I know this has already been covered, but the Special Forces Airborne. Here's his mission with the parson in Farsi. And here is Muhammad Qureshi. So here's the grandfather. Here is how I even got to Mona in the first place. Thank you, LinkedIn and cookies. I don't even like cookies that much. But Muhammad also went to Brigham Young University, and he is the oil guru. And I did confirm this a few different ways based on their own social media, which I'll show you again here at the end. But also he's commenting about from grandpa, and it's his grandkid. So it's on there. I do plan to dive a little bit deeper into the family and these oil companies and how they relate to certain deployments or things that we see continuing through other orbits. But he is a oil senior executive. I mean, he's all over the Saudi Arabia area. All over it. All over it. And his resume is pretty wild. The very detailed CVE. So this is him. This is Zachariah in front of the Knesset again. And this is Mona's education. And I did want to touch base on this too. Mona Qureshi studied and got a bachelor at Brigham Young, Idaho. She got an Associate of Arts in Russian. Then she did criminal justice at Utah Valley University for her bachelor's. Then went to the University of London, and her concentration was in terrorism and feminist criminology. Okay. I wonder if she knows Jerry Franzway. And then got a Master's of Science at the London School of Economics and Political Science and Criminology. Special agent with the Diplomatic Security Service from 2010 to present, unless that's inaccurate on her LinkedIn. A petty officer is the U.S. Navy Reserve in Salt Lake, Utah, the United Kingdom, and Phoenix, Arizona. She's been a crime analyst, specifically a crime analyst intern at the Provo Police Department. That doesn't sound close to Utah Valley University at all, does it? Does it? I did want to also mention this company, Investitools, that she has worked at is weird because they had a scandal. And I don't think that she was really fully aware of this scandal, but there was a complaint and there was this whole thing from 2004 to 2007, Investitools How to Trade Security Workshop, former Investitools employees Drew and Miller misleadingly portrayed themselves as expert investors who made their living trading securities. They did so to mislead investors into believing that they would make extraordinary profits trading securities if they purchased expensive Investitools instructional courses and other products and followed Investitools security trading strategies. The complaint further alleges that in reality, neither Drew nor Miller made the trading profits they claimed. For example, in 2005 and 2006, while Drew was portraying himself as a successful investor, he had hundreds of thousands of dollars in net trading losses. In 2006 and 2007, when Miller was portraying himself as a successful investor, he had tens of thousands of dollars in trading net losses. I will say, when you're trading, depending on how you're doing it, if you're doing options trading, depending on how much you have in your portfolio, it's kind of without the numbers, Is that a lot of money depending on what we're looking at? I don't know. That's like kind of a personal opinion. I will say it is on the SEC website, but so that was the complaint was from 2004 to 2007. She was there during the end of that. So this is how it all kind of connected on the important things. And I did want to mention this is a more recent picture of Zach. And his wife at the wedding. And I do think that this has taken a toll on him, and it makes me extremely sad. Um, extremely sad to see that. But this is the photo that confirmed I don't know if I skipped this earlier. If I did, I'm sorry. But this is the photo where you also see Romney, the business partners over here with Built. This is Zachariah's mom that was commenting on all the names, confirming them and the nicknames and everything else. Or that's the wife. Yeah, that's Ahmed Qureshi's spouse and Zachariah Qureshi's mother commenting all of that. Nate Henderson and Gina Henderson Romney over here on the right. And then the nicknames and stuff are in here. Zachariah Qureshi's sister's in here. They're in Hawaii. I love Hawaii. This is a mother-in-law from Arizona. This is Zachariah Qureshi's father in his whites. This is his sister's mother-in-law. This is Zachariah Qureshi's paternal grandmother. And this is an extra new family member from this. This is the brother that works in intelligence or wants to work in intelligence and is a junior at Brigham Young University, also learning Arabic and speaking Farsi. And I do believe on here, Morocco. Yeah, he's doing the Morocco language program this fall. Then this is Mona, the aunt that works at the State Department and has worked as a crime analyst and spent a lot of time in Europe. And this is Anne Qureshi, Zachariah Qureshi's grandmother. So, last one, Juliet Qureshi. It does say from Mesa, Arizona. I don't know why I said it like that. I feel like I'm on the radio, but basically I kind of am. I just made my own radio. I will say, I don't know if it's all my exes live in Texas, but like there are a lot of people that live in Texas up in this orbit. And I think it's weird. I think it's weird that the Twigs would move to Texas out of anywhere. You move anywhere, you're going to pick Texas. Oh my gosh. Why? There's got to be a reason. And I don't think it's just because your daughter was there. I don't think so. I don't think that's a reason at all. And I think that when we look at the documented map of all of this, we have Zachariah Qureshi coming from the multi-generation stack of an oil infrastructure, someone working in the oil industry. We have the intelligence community software. We have the U.S. government orbit. We have the active State Department diplomatic security. We have the Special Forces military intelligence. We have the BYU Jerusalem academics. We have the Romney Hendersons. We have the people in Timpanogos. We have the people from Arizona and Texas and Utah. We have the ongoing language and cultural preparation for the Middle East and intelligence work and all of those things. And when young men from this exact profile keep landing at the top spots of the arrest, suspect, or patsy club, they don't seem to rank next to Tyler Robinson. Why? Is it because that the footage of them was too grainy as well? We need to make sure that we're looking at all of the patterns because these things are not a coincidence. And I think that the things that they're being silent on are the things that you should look at. And that is the tell. The question is no longer who Zachariah Qureshi is. The question is, why were these things skimmed over? And the question is, why were these things basically seen as red herrings because the other people were more enticing in the story? It's like a reality TV show. People love a good side quest. They love a good drama. The public loves to ask about eye colors and, oh, well, someone said this and someone said that, blah, 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 blah. The paper trail, the boring stuff is how you prove crime. Every time. Every time. It's not sensational things. Every time. And, you know, I do think some of those things can be clues, but just saying. The specific networks keep popping up and producing the same orbits, the same patterns over and over again. We have the oil, the intel, the State Department, the Special Forces, BYU Jerusalem in the 1970s intelligence recruitment pipeline that ran at the same time that the family jewels were being written in the orbit. I don't want to tell you what to think, but I do think putting some of these connections and some of these patterns on the table are important to keep expanding on, because it's clear that these things are no longer just coincidences. I would love it. Thank you guys for coming here. I would love it if you guys would hit the like or subscribe button. I would love to see you again, even if you don't want to see me again. You don't have to, but it'd be nice. Did you see me just almost hang myself on this because I almost took my neck off? I would love it if you guys would like this and share this. And I am going to read super chats now. There were a couple in there. 1 second. Some on here. Okay, so Trisha Victory. Just want to throw you some support for all your hard work. Keep it up. Thank you, Trisha. I will spend that on chicken nuggets as soon as I get off this live. I may go to the McDonald's. Baron Coleman, Real Baron Podcast. Oh, wait, why did my face go away? My face went away. Hi, Dom. Hi. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that. Now I feel like I have to say one to you that says, hi, Baron, and that's all that it says. That's all it's going to say. San Pellegrino is better than goat water. Okay. I'm just joking. I haven't had the goat water. I need to get up on that. Researcher Daisy, my notebook is out, ma'am. Well, I hope that you had a pen or pencil or writing utensil of your choice. And thank you for coming. We can all use a little bit of that. Dom, I've been watching you in Baron's chat and am really glad to see you on your own channel. Thanks for your research and reporting. Keep up the good work. And as Baron says, we need more Helens. Thank you guys. That was so nice. I think I just got another one too. Why did it's weird. It did it like backwards. Oh, wait, I was going backwards. I went the wrong way, guys. It's my first time in a long time doing this. So with the supers. Winter Mute 67. Is that like 67? Like this? I don't know why people always say that. 6729. I'm grammaring a bunch of leads they didn't investigate. Are you going to post an article list anywhere? Awesome work. I am working on a website that will have all of the sources from each show listed and categorized. I've been talking to Marsh about that a little bit on the websites that I also like to utilize for research and to kind of have some lives to show people what I do. But I do have some, and Utah is such a public state with their records. It's kind of crazy, actually. I was able to pull, you can pull them in a lot of places, but publicly mortgage documents and things that were just bizarre that's on the internet. But let's worry about if China knows if you're a Republican or Democrat. I do have a list of things that I want to grammar request, but have not yet. And I've done a lot of the research. I just have not done the gramming of certain things. So I would love to connect with you. Why is my bangs doing this? What the heck is that? It's like, what? The safari hat is going wild. I'm the same username on X if you would like to connect. And if I can help you at all, I would love to. Or help you expand or hear what your grandma results are on some of them. So thank you for coming. And thank you for being here. I think I saw your thing that you were new. Or is your first time here? Are you in a white van? Your photo is of you in a white van. That is so... I'm not taking the candy. I am not taking the candy. Thank you guys for coming. I see this in here. Thank you for the super chats if you did them. And please hit like and subscribe. I am working on clipping and putting timestamps for those of you that don't want to be here forever. And there is... Oh my gosh, I do know about this. That is correct. And that is a very good point. I actually am going to take a picture of that. I actually know a lot about that. I'm not going to say that out loud, but that is correct. And I didn't even think about that aspect of it. It's very interesting of a thought. Oh, that is like my dream. So my husband thinks I'm nuts because, and my friends do too, because if I was not married to someone that was practical, I would live probably in a box and I would live everywhere. Like Ian is living my dream, how he goes from Airbnb to Airbnb and travels, because I'm not like an Erica Kirk gypsy, but I like to travel. And I don't know. That's my dream. And I've always wanted to, the Earth Roamers are crazy. I don't know if you know about those, but I can't afford one, obviously. But my dream is to drive from Alaska to Argentina. And then I really want to do the same thing from Europe to North Korea, the Trans-Siberian route. And I would love to do the Trans-Siberian Railway. I do think I would like a catamaran sailing up the coastlines a lot more, though. But I don't want to learn how to sail. But I love the ocean. I'm an ocean girl through and through. And we have 2 dogs, so van life would be hard. But I do think about it a lot. And those Earth Roamers are so dope. So dope. I also, my dogs would not do good in a tiny home. We have thought about that. Or doing a, I always say the wrong term, a trailer thing, so that we can park it and work wherever. But thank you guys for coming. I'm going to go to bed and get chicken nuggets. And I will see you guys next time. And I am really grateful that you're here, or if you're here after the fact, live, not live, whatever. I hope to see you again and hope you have a good weekend. Well, remainder of your weekend. If you consider Sunday a part of the weekend, I don't know. Just don't be a Joe. That was so cringe. Bye.
I don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on. We digging deep, come on. Yeah. Born in the country that was meant to be free. Gifted in yapping to prove conspiracy. Educated in the cornfield but dreaming of the beach. Inspired by a humble host, let that man preach. Republican, nah, Democrat, ew. Reporting what's true through a new view to you. I don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on. Into the weeds, come on. I don't give a damn. So you better be calm. With safari hat on. We digging deep, come on. Yeah. Tiger shark circle, but I'm staying the course. Deep research, digging, overturn every source. 10, foil, squirrel, organize the chaos. Gather each acorn, expose corporate payoffs. What matters the most? Respecting what is true. Always be saying like